Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Director Watch, an AwardsWatch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema's greatest auteurs, explore what drives them, and maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, the executive editor here at AwardsWatch, and joining me, as always, is my best friend in the fourth realm, my co-host, Jay Ledbetter.
You know what rocks a movie that says, and introducing Kate Winslet, and introducing Melanie Lynskey at the beginning of the movie? That's how you start a movie. And we're talking about a movie that did that. Heavenly Creatures, Peter Jackson's, I don't know, is it kind of Peter Jackson's like transition movie to serious cinema, I guess?
I gotta tell you this, Jay, right up at the top. I have for years wondered how the hell, and we talked about this a little bit last week, sort of, introducing this series. How the hell did New Line and them give Peter Jackson the money to make Lord of the Rings?
We're going to talk
about that in a couple weeks.
I
know we're going to talk about it. But then you visually watch a movie.
Made $5 million.
I know, but
office.
But then when you,
obviously he's got a great track record.
Yeah, but you visually watch this movie, it's all in there, and yeah, it's a weird movie to transition from last week to this week. Completely different, but
it's almost impossible to watch.
It's almost, yeah. Like, I mean, I watched this on YouTube. Did you watch this on YouTube?
Something like that.
Wait, did you do a little Jack Sparrow? Wait, did you watch the extended or did you watch the theatrical cut?
I watched the theatrical.
Oh, okay, so you watched the 10 minutes less.
What is the runtime of the theatrical?
148 or 99 minutes.
Oh, then I watched the director's cut.
Okay, then you watched.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
No, well, I'm just helping you out. I don't know. Sometimes you go on the high seas and you find a cheaper cut. You know what I mean? Sometimes you find the Jackson cut. There you go. Heyo.
So silly that this isn't just available to watch.
It really is.
That's true of every movie, but yeah,
listen. Sometimes when we do these series, we don't look fully into whether these movies are available or not. And when I found out that this one wasn't available, I kind of like scratched my head. Went, how the hell is this not available? Like, it's a pretty big. I mean, it's an introductory to.
It's a Peter Jackson movie starring Kate Winslet.
Yeah, like how the hell is this not like at least on a blue or a DVD copy for that?
I think it has a blue, but the blue you can only buy for like $75.
Oh, well, were you not going to buy me that?
And the Jack Sparrow in me said. Yo ho, a pirate's life
for me. All right. Well, Jay, we're not alone to talk about Heavenly Creatures today.
Hey guys.
It's our old buddy
Kate Winslet on the pod.
Jesse Nussman. Jesse, welcome back to Director Watch.
Thanks for having me, guys. I just have one note thus far. I mean, I think this is, nice of you guys to flag this as Peter Jackson's transition film into, serious filmmaking, but I don't know if you guys have gotten to meet the Feebles yet, but anyone that can like film two puppets fucking that's
true. That's a good point.
Haven't seen that one. This is the earliest Jackson I think I've ever seen. I haven't seen any of the other.
Well, before this,
ones.
It is like true schlock. Like schlock
it's
is
schlocky
honestly
horror.
Giving it too much credit for being like austere, and it is like beyond schlock.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
I've heard Brain Dead is really good.
Yeah, we talked about it last week.
I mean, a lot of that early stuff is good. Yeah, it rocks.
Yeah.
It is, but even in this movie, a movie about a real life story of children killing a parent. This movie is Virgin Suicides meets Sam Raimi. Like that's what this movie is to me.
Interesting.
And that kind of rocks.
That's not really those. I would say that those are astute, but then I was also weirdly thinking about the Johnny Depp movie Finding Neverland with Kate Winslet.
Oh, come on.
No, but like think about it. Like
that's a horrible movie.
I know it is, but think about like how like he envisions like Neverland in their like freaking living room, and she's like walking through with
I don't
Peter
know. Say
Pan in
something
there.
like say like Big Fish.
Well,
Yeah.
that
Something
too.
like that. Maybe.
Like all
I
these movies of this time period are like, let's have this. Maybe this is like a very influential movie for that, but it felt like a lot of movies for dramas in the 2000s were like, what if there was another world that we could see only in our minds? And it was, and and this movie kind of like does that, but it does it in a really effective way that, then kind of Jackson uses a little bit throughout, his bigger projects down the road. I think a lot of like when I was watching this movie that we'll talk about, obviously in a couple of weeks, The Lovely Bones, very much kind of
Never seen that either.
never seen The Lovely Bones.
No. I
As
remember
of this
being
recording, have not seen it.
I remember being pumped to see it because my aunt was really into the book.
No one
and
has
just
ever
kept-
said the words "I was pumped to see The Lovely
Well,
Bones" until now.
I knew it was a book that at least people in my family loved, and I was
Me and the
really
boys hit the town and then went to go see The Lovely Bones.
Went to the
Then-
steakhouse.
then I
had
heard it was bad.
Had some nice cocktails and said, "Give me a little bit of the tooch."
Yeah.
In The Lovely Bones. Jesse,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for being back. We haven't had you here since the Malik series when you gave us maybe the greatest thing that this podcast has ever had in the
Oh yeah, the Malik rap.
the Malik mode, as it was called.
Malik mode. Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way. It's been the gift
you're
that
welcome.
keeps on giving.
It might be the legacy of the pod.
It probably is.
I hope so.
No songs today.
No,
Unfortunately, sadly.
I didn't have time. I'm
No,
planning
no
for a
prep.
trip.
No, it's okay. But Peter Jackson, buddy.
Uh-huh.
What do you like about him? What do you maybe not like about him? What about him as a filmmaker stands out to you?
Yeah, I mean, when Jay told me you guys were doing this, I got really excited because Jackson is such a, he's not like one of my guys,
Yeah.
to quote Mark Marion, but he's got such a weird career of like kind of in the 90s, this sort of like underground New Zealand filmmaker, and then, the three of us are around the same age of like the Lord of the Rings movies were just so big and omnipresent.
Yeah.
And it was just like growing up, like the idea that like those were big hits and they like won all these Oscars, and it was a movie that like every one of your friends or their parents like had it on DVD or had those extended edition bought. It was just like one of those movies that I can't, maybe something like some of the later Tarantino or like Scorsese stuff, but like movies that were so instantly kind of canonized
In the culture.
in the culture.
Yeah.
And then so like I feel like growing up, Jackson was talked about as like this guy's probably like the next Spielberg, and then that kind of didn't happen, and
You
then
just like rejected that.
well,
I think Jesse, he
then-
kind of
then-
turned into the more of the George Lucas.
right. Then
Yeah.
he sort of became
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, this guy maybe doesn't have the vision of Spielberg and is more like Lucas and Zemeckis of like he kind of is just more fascinated with like movie technology
Loves
than
his
movies.
toys. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now that has come to another weird level where now he just seems to want to make documentaries.
Yeah.
So like
Mostly
what-
about the Beatles.
Yeah, this guy's just got like a weird career of ups and downs of like is in a totally different place now than what I would have thought his career would have been as a child seeing Lord of the Rings and the King Kong movie.
Do you guys think he's gonna like consult on those fucking Sam Mendes movies?
Do you think he's upset at all? Because
Oh, I think he's pissed. I think he's fucking pissed.
the moment that was announced, I was like, does someone have Peter Jackson on suicide watch? Like this
4 movies in one day, and you didn't let Big Pete do that? Fuck y'all,
Yeah.
man. Like that guy's been in the archives for years. He's been like watching John and Yoko fucking. She's been watching footage of Yoko Ono sing by John Lennon's side during those final album sessions.
Although
And-
if Jackson did it, it would be the same cast.
Yeah.
But Jackson would say, I've used this new AI image grafting software, and we're going to be
That is
able to like
true.
put Paul McCartney's face on
Paul Mescal Yeah.
Paul Mescal,
Yeah.
and like Joe is it who's playing John Lennon?
Harris Dickinson.
Yeah, we're gonna put John Lennon's face
But
on
it's like,
Harris
oh,
Dickinson.
so it's like almost like a better man situation with the monkey.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that
yeah.
would honestly
What did you
that's
think of when they had John Lennon in what was the
oh
boil? What's
my
the name of
God,
Oh, I
boil
forgot
yesterday.
movie?
about that.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. What do you think of when John Lennon showed up in Yesterday?
Honestly, I was too probably like annoyed and distracted with all the like hypotheticals that movie
That movie is
throws
Oh
a
up
my
that
giant
God,
like
what
that
if.
is a movie. That is a movie where you litigate it for
isn't
45
there a bit
seconds
in that
and you're
movie
like,
where
oh,
like
oh my God.
doesn't that movie have a bit where it's like smoking doesn't exist either?
Yeah, yeah.
And then that like
Harry
causes
Potter
me to
doesn't exist, which I mean,
Coca-Cola doesn't exist.
Coca-Cola doesn't, which is like what the fuck. No, my favorite bit in that is Ed Sheeran still exists, and Ed Sheeran's still popular, and Ed Sheeran and this guy that's I think what is it, Hamish Patel?
I think so.
Like he writes
I
like
really like Hamish Patel
this
too.
really
He's great.
weird, like stupid song that is typical fucking Sam Mendes and or I mean Ed Sheeran, and then and then like the one Beatles song to like blow everybody in the way in the room is like, let me see the long and winding road. And I'm like, even as a Beatles fan, like a giant Beatles fan, that's not the one that wins like the ultimate, like, I
No.
just killed it as the
Well,
greatest
honestly,
for
do
And
any
yet
of
that
them
yet
work
that scene
now?
still ends and it's like damn Hamish Patel, you didn't have to like unload the whole clip on this
yeah,
guy.
you didn't have to like kill
Look,
fucking Ed
this is
Sheeran right
this
then
is
and there.
this is how I feel about watching as the father of a 2-year-old. This is how I feel when I watch Cars. I'm like, the implications of this world. Like, why do
Oh,
cars have counters?
you're one of
Why
these
why do they
people.
have counters?
I'm
Like,
one of
that
these
doesn't make
people
any
too. I feel
sense.
validated that Jay is bringing these. I've been like on the front
No,
lines
no, I think that
screaming
this is
about how
great.
Cars makes no sense since like
Like
2006.
my
Like, they
question is,
still live in this world where everything requires like hands, but they don't have any hands.
But also like there's car
And I mean,
bugs and the
I could
mountains
go
are
on
made out
for
of
days.
cars.
Car bugs. Also,
how are there
there at
baby
one point is
cars?
a child car.
Yeah.
How do
Are
they
the cars born with
reproduce?
tires?
Yeah. How
How are
did
they born with tires?
This is also the problem with what was the movie a few years ago where it was like the water people and the fire people and
Avatar?
the Pixar movie. It was like about racism, but they're
Oh,
all
yeah,
white.
yeah.
Elemental.
That was
Yes,
yeah.
this is
Elemental.
also
It was
the
about
problem.
racism. That's every Pixar movie,
Oh
Jesse.
God.
This,
Well,
that's the
that was
problem.
also a problem with what's the one about the spirit world with the piano player?
Oh, Soul.
Oh,
Sal.
Same
Soul.
thing. That one's
Soul.
all about
Sal.
like systems, like bureaucracy. And it's like the implications of spirits having
You mean
bureaucracy
you
is,
mean the
like,
movie where Pete Docter basically
unbelievable.
wanted to rip off A Matter of Life and Death, Jay?
A matter of life and death. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I basically
Yeah.
sat
Matter of Life and
through
Death, a really good movie that's about bureaucracy.
Yes.
That does it really
incredible
well.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sat through all of
One
Elemental
of my
just
favorites.
wondering if, you know, like if a fire person and a water person have a baby, does that make an air person? Like, is that where the air society comes from?
You guys are thinking too hard.
Oh, I mean, it's
But you're
no,
also
that's the
saying that
problem
you're
with a lot
also
of the
talking
Pixar
the right
movies.
things.
They're all about rules and like streamlining the story and things like that and like clean storytelling.
But it
But
didn't
then
used
when
to-
there's a
it used-
hiccup, it really
yeah.
sticks out.
Well, like, not to be like, where's my country gone? But like,
Whereas
where's
like
my
Heavenly Creatures is a movie that is so messy, but it works because it's not entirely focused on that. It's attached to the emotional implications of the things rather than the literal interpretations of the
I like
plot.
how you're trying to bring it back, but I wanted to make my point. Where's my Pixar gone? Like, where is Pixar gone? Like, they're just not, I don't think they're good anymore. I'm
You're
going to
not
put that
hyped
out
for
there.
What was the
Elio?
last Pixar movie? Inside Out 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh,
one was
Elio.
okay.
Yeah, it's coming out soon.
I'm not excited for it. The
I
trailer
thought
for that
Inside
thing
Out
looks
2 was bad.
rough. And I thought Inside Out 2 wasn't good.
I
They're
like
going,
anxiety.
they're going down like the sequel routes. I'm not excited about it.
That's what
I'm not
happens
excited.
when a big mouse house buys you.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, I mean, even when Mouse Out bought them, they still had Coco and a bunch of other things coming out.
I'm
They're
in for
like,
Coco too.
oh, you in for the more Coco, or as my wife wants to
mean-
say, who are they going to kill next? Is
Yeah,
the real
I mean, it's a
question.
good My son just loves Coco so much. It'll be fun.
Jet, Jet loves Coco. I love that.
He does.
Anyway, we're here to talk about heavenly creatures. Jesse,
Mm-hmm.
we I think Jay asked you to be on this one, and
He
because
did.
we saw that you were very positive on it.
Yeah.
So
Is that why? I thought I just had an empty spot, and I was like, Jesse would be good.
I thought he knew I had a Kate Winslet crush, and that's
well,
that's why he
that
did
was
it.
a little bit too. I knew all this. Your relationship with the film buddy, as well as what do you think about it?
And
Yeah,
Kate Winslet.
so I don't think I remember hearing about this movie as a kid because I believe like one of my cousins told me like, yeah, the guy who made Lord of the Rings, like he made this movie with Kate Winslet that's about these like two girls that like murder one of their moms. And I guess like spoiler alert if you're listening to this and haven't watched
Jesus
Heavenly
Christ, Jesse,
Creatures.
we're not trying to fucking spoil things.
It's a real life story. It's okay.
Damn it.
But I never got around to seeing it. I think I always assumed it was this kind of like Tony, kind of like late 90s Weinstein, kind of just like down the middle, like vanilla awards bait movie.
Yeah, like a
and
wart
then-
schlock.
Yeah. And then during the pandemic, as happened with a lot of movies, I was just sort of like, hey, it's just time to get around to this one. And was amazed that it is less Tony awards bait movie and is a very gonzo movie that feels like it could have been made by like Sam Raimi, like Jay said, or there's even like a lot of like early Coen brothers in this movie. I I just sort of I think the surprise of seeing it for the first time with the expectations that I had just sort of like blew me away of like this is way more stylish and idiosyncratic, and this is more of the energy that I kind of wish Peter Jackson would tap back into that is there, I think, in the Lord of the Rings movies, but you gotta like kind of look for it. And then rewatching it the second time, I was like a little worried it would dim in my estimation, but I still think this is a really good movie with two amazing performances like right out of the gate. I'm so excited for the Kate Winslet conversation, but also think Melanie Lynskey has always been underrated and is also another actress that I have a very weird
Yeah, no
relationship
doubt.
to from like
For sure.
how I was introduced to her versus how I think of her now.
Oh, you mean how
Um,
you were introduced to her on like what, 2.5 Men?
Yes, yeah, because
You can say it. We've mostly all have probably.
my family
I mean,
watched that show
I
every
never watched
week.
2.5 Men, but
You never watched Men.
you know what?
Men.
Never watched it. Believe it or not.
Is that
I
gonna
honestly
be a
think, I mean,
wild
my-
thing to explain to people? Like, is Jay
2.5
gonna have
Men.
like a weird surreal moment, like explaining that to his kid of like, yeah, there was this show starring like Charlie Sheen that was like the biggest comedy in America, and it was just about like two single dads and their like
Oh,
joint
no.
nephew son, and
Well-
they just like fuck a bunch
Well,
of
to be clear, Charlie Sheen was the wild thing.
And that's true.
yeah.
But to be fair, also clarification, Jesse. Charlie Sheen was not a dad on that show. He was just Uncle Charlie, and he was like the swinging bachelor. And John Cryer was the dad because that's where then his son comes into it. And they're poor, so they go and live with him at a Malibu beach house. And his stalker, who is also his neighbor,
Yes.
is the great Melanie Lynskey, and she's
Yes.
on that series for the entire run of that.
I remember
Which-
thinking
God, she
the
made
one
so
thing I
much
thought
money
was
off
really
of that
funny
show.
on that show.
She was great on that show, and what's so funny is, she's on Yellow Jackets now, on Showtime, and so I was in which is a pretty good show,
Good show.
and so I was listening to an interview with her, and my wife was like, "Why is she talking like that?" And I went, "Because that's how she sounds like that. She's not American." She went, "The hell she is. I watched her on 2.5 Men for all these years. She's American." And I'm like, "No, honey, she's not." So I think, Jesse, there is a ton of people out there that actually don't know Melanie Lynskey. They know her through that show and a lot of her television work and some of her film work, but they clearly don't even know that she's not even American, So yeah. But Jay, educate yourself. Go watch.
She's a that girl actor. a little
She's
bit.
Yeah.
she's a veteran actor now. She's like, oh, okay, she's in.
She pops
Yeah.
up in Last of Us for like one episode, and you're like, oh,
Oh,
what
she's
a
so
treat,
good
what a
on that.
treat. Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, Jay,
No, I think she's super talented.
have you seen this one before? Was this the first time watch for
Uh,
you?
no, this was a second time. I had seen it once before, like 4 months ago,
Oh, okay.
because of the uh, Oscar retrospective podcast
Oh
for the
yeah, for
year.
94.
Yeah, for 94. Yeah. So
Okay.
this was pretty fresh on the mind going into this. And then I watched it again. And I think it is a really good film.
Wow.
It
Glowing endorsement from Jay Ledbetter.
Yeah, it is. It really is this prestige picture on paper that ends up being this. It's shot like a horror movie. I mean, every element of it is shot like a horror movie, from being in, middle school to having sex for the first time to having awkward interactions with your parents. It's all like canted angles and, um, snap zooms and all of this crazy stuff that makes it feel so impactful and really does kind of give this great impression of adolescence, which I think is incredibly effective. It uses like so many of Peter Jackson's early films. I do think it is taking advantage of a lot of the kind of frameworks that Sam Raimi had set up. You have the first person POV, Sam Raimi in the woods camera at certain points. It but it also really does have a sense of emotion to it, and it has a real sense of um empathy for its characters. And these characters are two clearly kind of mentally unstable individuals who end up killing one of their parents, which is one of the most heinous things that you can do. And the movie does not go easy on them as far as that is concerned. And it does have this crazy bait and switch at the beginning of the film, where the first scene is them running through the woods, bloody, screaming about what has happened to their mother. And me personally, knowing nothing of the history of this real life story, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Who killed her mom? And then lo and behold, at the end of the movie, in really in an exploitation way, which maybe there is grounds to say, is this cruel or inappropriate in a certain way that this real life murder of this woman is treated as this schlocky action film in some ways? I don't think I feel that way, because I just think it's really well done. But it's also a film about one's relationship to fiction and one's relationship to the stories that they consume and the stories that they express in a way that also feels very similar to some of my favorite movies. It feels a little Charlie Kaufman-y at certain points, this kind of meta-analysis of storytelling and consumption of story. So I think there's a lot to dig into this movie. And also, even if you don't want to dig into it on a deep thematic level, there's a lot to enjoy on a pure visceral experiential level. I
Yeah, I
hate
think
most of the score.
oh, something that came that I thought of watching it again this time is, I think this movie is like weirdly timely in a way, in that I watched it this second time as a movie that is very much about two adolescent two adolescent children basically who commit a heinous act. And I'm sure in New Zealand this act was like, well, let's try and understand this and how could this happen. And how Jackson portrays it, I think, is in such an unexpected way of it being about, these young girls who become mentally unstable, I think, because of the environment around the sort of world they are living in. And yet, and how that develops them mentally, and then how they also want to escape into these fantasy stories. And then also that world around them completely misunderstands like what the issue is with it. Like I totally forgot about the whole aspect of this movie that the parents around them all clearly have the notion that something like not that chill is going on with the relationship. But they all misdiagnose it for different ways, whether it's thinking like, oh, it's this lesbian romance thing, or I forget that there's like a couple other little explanations that the adults give that don't really make sense. And Jackson's always like undercutting them by then like cutting to the girls and then really showing you what is at the center of their relationship. And it's such this, you know, in this age where, you know, people are like, why are kids like shooting up schools and stuff like that? Or like, you know, how do we have like child crime? Or, you know, I don't know if you guys are watching that adolescent show, but like all the things that that show is about with
Haven't
like the
seen it yet.
really good actually.
Really want to
But
watch
That
it.
is a
Really
show I
do.
really want to watch, and I've heard as a parent it is something.
yeah, but this is a movie of that to me is like, how could these young girls have done this crime? And Jackson sort of showing of like they kind of had this just environment around them that just sort of cut off this sort of expression and was sort of neglectful of them, and that sort of festered this obsession, this connection between both of them to poison itself and become delusional and oversized. And then even when everyone around them is like, there's something a little not right about their relationship and something a little not right about their little like playtime stories that they're coming up with, but completely missing the point and then falling victim to that.
Well, I do think I think you're right a little bit, Jesse. But I also think too the movie is you know, the thing about like sort of award schlock
Mm-hmm.
is like sometimes in a movies like those that they have a message behind the whole identity of a film like this. And for me, like watching it, because visually Jay's right, it's like it's an astonishing kind of feat to make a film like this be as visually interesting and creatively interesting as it is. Like the worlds that these girls are sort of imagining or bouncing through to block the harsh realities of the state that they're living in is very imaginative. I was thinking a lot of Raimi. I was thinking of a lot of Tarsem with like
Mm.
like the Fall and the Cell, especially like the sort of like like the clay chess
Yeah.
piece melding in with like the sex scenes and everything. I was thinking a lot of just like how what do those images mean? And I think it had been about I don't know, it'd been about 10-15 years since I've seen this film. And what I was thinking of really just through it all was there is a connection with this friendship, and there is this tug and pull from the relationship standpoint of these adults, right? And I think the reason why they want to quickly diagnose it is because it's something that they don't normally see. They
Mm-hmm.
don't normally see connectiveness like this in this community. And when you are afraid to of something, you other it. You know what I mean? You villainize it. You weaponize it then in a lot of ways too. And that's kind of what happens here is these two are extremely gifted, incredibly artistically forward thinking girls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little bit of a cautionary of throwing oneself into art, right? I was thinking a lot of that from this film because it's books and music and movies and just anything to escape. I mean, Melanie Lynskey's character wants to be a writer for Christ's sake and doesn't really, and that all starts falling apart. But
It's the 50s. What are they doing? They're writing.
exactly.
That's what they do.
But I think a lot of the things when I was watching this is those temptations and thoughts are put in the heads by adults and really honestly put in the heads by the girls because the adults are the ones thinking about it first and putting it on this table. And then almost in a way of when young kids are, when you tell them not to do something, they then become curious and do it anyway. and that can be good, and then sometimes if you repress it long enough, it can be vastly dangerous. And so when I was watching the film, I was watching how all these events unfold and sort of, where the murder ends up being, right? And it's the murder of this mother who is super overly protective of her daughter, kind of a little bit jealous and envious of her creativity, her smarts, the ability for her to be able to potentially escape the
Is she
circumstances
that
that
overprotective though? I feel like she's almost just like square, and
I
that's what
Yeah,
bothers.
that's kind of what I
no,
she's
I thought of her because the film portrays her very wicked, right? I think at least like
From a
there's
subjective perspective, yes.
yes. And so I think of the fact that a lot of this, she's very hard on her daughter. I think everybody was hard on everybody back then. But I think in particular there is a little bit of like with inside this relationship, and you see that through Melanie Lynskey. She literally says it, that you're envious of what I could potentially have. And she doesn't want her to end up in the certain circumstances because obviously she ends up being unhappy in this marriage and everything. And it's the idea of wanting better for your kids. But what happens when when you repress and and I think both families do this to these girls, repress whatever this relationship is evolving and the connectedness of somebody that is different than all the other girls. And I think back to that scene with like the doctor, and he's like, it's okay to have more than one friend. Well, yeah, but the other alternative is not having a friend.
They're
You know what I mean?
dismissive of their
So,
most intense interest. I will
yeah,
say
yeah.
that. But they're
yeah,
not evil
Yeah,
parents.
because later in the
I see.
movie, I think as the girl's behavior becomes more absurd, or their logic behind the things that they do becomes more absurd and more, I think, kind of comical. I think Jackson, portrays the parents kind of like frustration with the sense of empathy. I mean, there's the one scene between the Melanie Lynskey character and the mother, where like she's talking about like how both of the girls are going to like run away and they're going to like live somewhere else, and the mom is just like, you're 12, you don't know what you're talking about, no, you can't support yourself.
Yeah, but at the
And
same time, at the later in the film, they're I don't know doing something in the bathtub. And the father, the first thing is like, "There's going to be sex in there. There's sex going on. Sex is happening in there." And the mom's just like, "I don't know. Give him the benefit of the doubt a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
Like, kind of fuck down.
Yeah,
Like, you
they
know what
kind
I
of
mean?" So
operate at an extreme level, but then get sort of cut
yeah,
down a little bit.
so
It's a little roll dolly a
a
little
little
bit.
bit. Yeah,
They're
yeah,
they're kind
yeah.
of operating as this exaggerated versions of this childlike
But then
vision of what their parents feel like to them.
these
yes,
two are within themselves. They are extremes of what you would see here as well. But it
How about that
ultimately
yeah,
scene early on when Juliet's mom, the therapist, is just like very explicitly her version of therapy is hooking up with all of her patients. So funny.
how much is that running an hour? Good Lord. But no, I think Lynskey's great. I think Winslet is I think they're both actually really great.
Oh, I thought
And
you were about to say I think Winslet is bad. I was
no,
like,
I don't think Winslet's bad.
you're wrong.
I think Lynskey's better than Winslet. I think she has a little bit of the
I think
think
maybe
Linsky
the
I
is
think
harder
I
the
task.
think she has a
main
harder
character
role.
of the
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think she
movie.
has the harder task in here. And I have to tell you, not seeing it for a long time and knowing the outcome, knowing that this is a true story, knowing everything about it, the final 15 minutes of this movie is maybe the scariest thing about it.
oh,
This
it's so excruciating and
the
just let's
lingeringness of this murder
yeah,
is incredible.
especially the like lead up to it where the girls are both like, I mean, we feel like we got to do this, but like almost in that way of
Should
like,
we?
There's
right, like
hesitance. Yeah.
it's such a perfect kid moment of like, Jay, I'm sure you've had this like with as a parent, but like when a little kid, when you're like, go ahead, like go do this, and they like kind of shy behind, and they're kind of like, no, you do it. Like I'm thinking of like my nephews, like if you go to order something at a restaurant and they're just sort of like, no, you order for me.
Oh, that is
I
so
don't want
true.
to.
When
Yeah,
it's like,
when
hey, you don't you want that thing? And then it might be over a curb or something, and then my son will grab my hand and be like, no, you can go get that
and
thing.
that's kind of the way the girls are behaving in that like final moment when they're going through the routine that'll eventually lead them to having to kill Melanie Lynskey's mother, and they just keep like giving each other these looks or these little nudges of just sort of like, no, go on, you instigate it, you start it, and of like they don't want to do it, but they've felt this need. And I love how Jackson, that just makes the scene all the more uncomfortable, like you said, Ryan, of like how long it goes off, and you being this like, you guys don't need to do it, you don't need to do it, you don't need to do it.
You know what, Jay? The movie I was thinking of when I was watching this, and obviously different. I mean, sort of set in the same areas, but I was thinking of Nitram. Remember Nitram?
I that movie crossed my mind as well, Ryan. That's funny that you say that.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about like, damn, that movie is like obviously this cousin, because like that is a movie where we are learning about the making of a monster, of a psychopath, you know,
That movie is
and
Australian, and so
yeah, it's
obviously
shit.
New Zealand is not Australia. I
Not the
don't
same.
want to offend people.
I
I
don't
know
want
they
to
don't
offend
like
people
when
either.
people
They're gonna come for you.
They're
make
gonna
that
come.
connection.
No, but I think that I mean, this was a story that hit their country very deeply, because you're talking about freaking kids
It's a very
doing
small
this.
nation as well.
Yeah,
So
very small. And so when violence hits over there, it's much more impactful. I mean, the case of Nitram, they literally had legislation about gun
yeah, that
violence.
basically,
They
yeah.
actually did something about it, as opposed to this fucking country that we have. But point being is, this movie, much like that movie too, it's the violence that you get to by the end. It slowly builds, and this case, you see the violence in this film, and it leaves you numb, because then the as the pounding is going away with the brick, you see the world where they have cozied themselves into their imaginative
Yeah. What
world.
else you see? A world inhabited by clay figures living in
Yeah.
a medieval village.
Yeah, but you see the separation of them in that moment, as they know that this, weirdly enough, even though in the real world they think that they're going to get away with this shit, in their world that they've created, they've been separated. They're apart. They are no longer going to be together. And I find that and I found it so heartbreaking, even though you're not rooting for them to get away with this, because I mean, like, the implication is literally you wanting them to murder someone that, I mean, their mom was rough. I've had, rough aunts and uncles, and, my parents have been rough on me, but I don't necessarily ever want to think
I
like
think
this.
you think the parents
know?
are rougher than I think the parents are.
I mean, they
I
are.
just think they're sort of stern parents.
Let them be fucking kids.
Yeah.
Like, they got a stiff upper lip as
I
well
think they're
too.
just boring. I think that was my read of it when I watched it out, because there's the scene where they bring
I think they're a little bit of
Wins-
hypocrites.
Kate Winslet over for tea time, and the dad's like kind of charming with Winslet, but like he's boring though. Like I think that's
Well,
Melanie
it's very clear early
Lynskey.
on when he does like the fish thing. Clearly,
Yeah.
the implication of that is like, you're lame, and
Yeah.
I hate that about you. But that's almost as far as it goes for me, as far as the parents are
I
concerned.
don't know. I think these guys in the school and
They're
everybody
concerned,
involved.
slightly misguided.
I think
parents.
Winslet's parents are bad parents, but
Yes.
the
I don't think Linsky's mom's that great. I think you guys are giving her way more credit than, even though I don't think
What
she
you're saying is
deserves
that
murder.
you think she should have been killed.
No, I think that
you're saying you're pro murder.
I
on
think
this
that they're like,
podcast.
I think like
If someone is annoying, they deserve to
if
be
this
killed.
was a work of fiction,
And that's a strong take.
if these two were in a work of fiction, it would have been like Belfast, and they would have had like a moment where they're like, you know what? I think you could be a writer. And then at the end of the movie, you see Melanie Lynskey writing her like essay to college about how her mom was the real struggle in
Well,
her
to be
life,
clear, what you're
and stuff like that.
describing is Greta Gerwig's Little Women, which is a great
Exactly.
film.
Exactly. So like what I'm saying is it's like in a work of fiction, they resolve it. In
My
this case,
Little Women.
they didn't resolve it because maybe if you worked so hard on your misunderstood fucking daughter, she wouldn't have beat you over the head with a brick, lady. Like, just saying that, it's a little bit of
It's
that in
interesting.
there.
We just have different
I'm
interpretations of the
just telling you,
parenting in
I'm
this
like,
movie.
just I don't know. Let them have an imagination, for Christ's sake. The alternative's death. Yeah, I think I'll take them like fucking around with clay people. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna die for my
I mean,
kid's
that is kind of where
imagination.
my
You know?
virgin suicides comparison comes in.
Yeah.
It's repression to such a degree that there become these ideas of self-harm and isolation and
Hmm.
all of these other things, which are certainly very true. But I think it is sort of a misunderstanding of the child, which is very easy to do. Parenting, not easy, rather than sort of a vindictive.
You sure?
I That's my interpretation.
Oh, huh.
But that's kind of my thought on the parents, is that they're just, it's hard to understand
Eh,
people, especially younger people, and
eh.
especially when you're trying to mold this person into
Yeah.
something that you think they should be, even though that might be a misguided idea of what they should be. But I don't find them vindictive in any real way.
Jesse.
Yeah, I'm probably closer with Jay. Like I don't find the parents evil at all. I think it has more to do with, you know, the, how absurd the girl's logic becomes at a certain
They are
point.
very, yeah, but they're also
And like the
12-year-olds.
Melanie
They're, very
Lewinsky
dumb.
character, it basically talks
And
about the
boy,
Kate
do they look
Winslet's character.
12.
Man, they
Yeah.
do.
I think they're
Holy
supposed to be
shit.
13. I think they're
And
supposed
like
to be
with the
13 and
one
14.
girl,
But
like
yeah.
talking about the other girl's parents are like, well, they're my real parents because they like indulge my
Yeah,
art
like the
fantasies and
the
stuff.
sense of delusion that the both of them have is
Yeah, I
crazy.
think the delusion just hits a point where it's very clear that
Yeah.
it's like their minds are being warped at a certain point,
Listen.
and it's mostly to do with the parents being like, we're not quite like Kate
Yeah.
Winslet's parents seem to be dealing with their own intermarital drama and professional drama and are just like, we're not paying attention to this child. And then Melanie Lewinsky's parents are, you know, they're super religious and they're kind of dull and they're strict and and they may be nice and to her, but like they don't have any way to sort of nurture that creative side to her. So she
No, it's
just
kind of like the
becomes,
parents who don't let their kids read Harry Potter.
yes,
You know?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then she meets the Winslet character, and that's how that attraction, that spark between two friends that meet for the first time becomes so dangerously obsessive.
Uninhibited imagination,
Yeah.
Yeah.
where maybe it should be to some degree inhibited a little bit.
A little
Uh,
bit.
And then there's these two extremes that create, this splitting of the atom.
Mhm.
And obviously it ends in intense tragedy,
Yeah.
portrayed as the Evil Dead.
No, it really is because like there's some. I mean the again like there was a lot of the shots here because when we talk about Lord of the Rings in the next couple of weeks, which we're gonna talk the shit out of those movies. You see a lot of
Wait,
like
he directed The Lord of the Rings?
yeah, buddy. I don't know if you knew that. That's what we're doing in this series.
Oof, boy, I gotta catch up.
I was thinking a lot of like when they're on the schoolyard and there's cameras moving around. You're right. It's a lot of Raimi, but then he uses a lot of that camera language later on in those bigger films. And that's what's so interesting too of watching a movie early in someone's filmography after you mostly know them for being a bigger filmmaker or making movies on a larger scale. And you come back to their smaller films and like this sort of fourth world that they've built, right? This play
This is a good
place.
point. Yeah.
This is a lot of like this is for me was a lot of like the elves. I was thinking a lot of
The
like
fantasy
Rivendell and
instincts.
the
Yeah.
fantasy
Yeah.
instincts of that as well, and being able to um there's some flashback sequences in the extended editions that I was thinking of too, and just the way in which the lighting in these sequences are very different
Yeah.
from the real world, and being able to contrast that both within just the same scene, you know what I mean, and go back and forth. That's where you're like, I mean, when we it's being able to have that in your tool belt that a lot of filmmakers I don't think guys have, where you see a lot of these filmmakers nowadays, and this is my
These
thesis.
filmmakers nowadays,
This
I'm
is my
telling you.
thesis for the entire, you know, project of this is he's using these tools that he later is able to make on the biggest, riskiest scale possible. A lot of directors nowadays, they make one film and then they go right into the action film. They don't have a voice, they don't have a style, they don't have something that they can lean on that they've used before. Maybe it's a different technique for the audience to understand, you know, the differences between what is real in these girls' mind and what's an imagination. And then the lines start becoming blurred as the picture's going. And I think that that's great because that adds intrigue as an audience member, and it definitely adds layers to these two's to Lynskey and Winslet's characters, and then you know the sort of worlds collide at the end when this act of violence happens, and I think it's fantastic work by Jackson and his direction, and
He's a good
definitely
director.
definitely a step up from like we were talking about last week and the weeks before. Jay, it was just like
It
this
does. It feels
very
like a transition movie.
it is
Yeah.
very much that. So like, okay, like, yes, to quote Jay Ledbetter on his letterbox, it's like, yeah, this could have been like a very Oscar baity, schlocky sort of little, you know, run of the mill movie that is up for awards, but because it's directed the fuck out of like it's like an Evil Dead movie, this horror movie, those sensibilities from that horror movie translate into a
Hmm.
drama like this where if you're reading on paper the story about like these girls imaginated like these dream sequences and this world where they connected, it's like how the fuck do you do that? Well, the sensibilities of a horror director kind of work for that, while you know while the horror is actually not as fantastical, it's actually in the reality, and I think that that's a really fascinating way to tell a story.
So
It's all
let me just bring this up because I'm playing a little bit of devil's advocate here because I do love how stylized this movie is. This is not a story that inherently lends itself to like
No,
metaphorical depictions of princes and princesses and you know these molded clay figures that these girls become obsessed with. But I'll just give you kind of an example of a movie that put me off because of the way that it turned very serious subject matter into schlock. And that is the film. Remember Antebellum? You remember that? The Janelle Monáe movie that
oh
was like
yeah,
I never saw it.
yeah,
it
the one, yeah,
so it's a movie about slavery played like you know a schlocky thriller.
like an A24 movie.
And that put me off so
Or
bad.
like a Blumhouse movie. I'm sorry. Blumhouse. Yeah.
I think it is a Blumhouse movie. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. But that was a movie that took this subject matter and turned it into pure gross popcorn entertainment that uh, I found incredibly off-putting. I also thought it was poorly executed, which didn't help.
Well, to be fair,
Um,
Jay, I thought that that was more like a bad cloned version of Get Out, more than
Well,
anything else there,
and I
right?
also feel like that movie, from what the sense that I get, or like the reason why I would say like Heavenly Creatures does not fall into this kind of movie that you're describing, is Peter Jackson has curiosity, and he's not making this in a you know, it's interesting. Before we hopped on, we were talking about like how much better Killers of the Flower Moon gets with every passing day. And like one of the things that Scorsese is, I think, actively getting at in that movie is this like, why do we want to make true crime stories? And of like, are we leaning into a like sensationalism and like a tone deafness about these
Yeah.
tragedies? And that's what I think, like, for as crazy as Jackson's visuals and his filmmaking are, in a way that, I have another thing to add about like how this connects to Lord of the Rings, but he has a curiosity about like, so how, like, he as a filmmaker is just as uncertain and questioning as we are as an audience about like, so how was this able to happen, and like, can I understand the psychology of these girls and what
That
drove
is a
them
good
to do
point.
this? And I think that's what makes a movie like this work and not feel like someone is just crassly like taking a tragedy and doing the like lifetime original movie version of it.
It's sort of like the only way that I can rationalize this is by turning it into something abstract. That
Yes.
yes, that's good. Jesse, that's good. That's good.
That's
And I
why they pay
appreciate
me
you
the big
coming on for
bucks.
that reason.
That's why
Yep.
he's here. That's why he's
It,
here. He's putting you to shame.
I mean, it is it really does feel 15 to 20 years before its time in that way where we are so obsessed with true crime now. And now it feels like every other movie is either about a literal true crime incident or about our obsession with true crime.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a little bit ahead of its time in that regard.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, the other thing is that it's like you said at the beginning of this, Jay. It is a discovery film because this is us
Are we talking
discovering.
Winslet now?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a
I
good
think it
time to
might be
talk
time.
about. I think it's actually very interesting to talk about the both of them together here because of the fact that one goes on to be.
Well, we kind of did Lynskey,
I
though.
know we kind of did her, but like I'm just trying to say that it's interesting that
Her footprint is not
Did
as
did you see those kind
wide
of
as
sad
Kate's.
interviews she gave where she sort of talks about like, her and Winslet like
we're best friends.
they don't dislike each other. They didn't have like a falling out of like, oh, screw that person, or like one, dated a boy that the other one liked, or any of these ways that you would imagine a young girl friendship to fall apart. They fell apart because very shortly after this, Winslet gets catapulted
It was
into
in
being like
Titanic.
the actress of
Well,
her
she's in like
generation.
Sense and Sensibility, and then she's in Titanic, and then she's like,
Yeah.
and then she's off to the races.
And there was this kind of sad interview I watched with Melanie Lynskey where she was like, yeah, like if the times that I've seen her since then, we're friendly, but like we had this very intense friendship on this movie, and then her career exploded so much bigger than mine
Yeah, it's
did.
weirdly funny how not for because it's supposed to be like that, but like the movie mirrored their relationship because
Yeah.
these characters by the end are like because they were released from prison, the stipulation was these two wackos can never see each
Uh,
other again. And in a lot of ways, these two never worked together because they were never
yeah,
anywhere
but also,
near
yeah,
each
but
other in terms of stratosphere, you
she
know?
was the, Winslet's character was the upper crust kind of
Yeah.
privileged
Hmm.
in
Mhm.
another league, which obviously kind of came to be with regard to their careers.
Well, I mean, she's just, it's
Can I get my take on Winslet?
the blonde act. It's
Please.
the blonde actress versus the brunette kind of actress, I think, too.
So Kate Winslet makes a lot of movies that I just have absolutely no interest in.
Okay. Do you want to run them down?
Well, I mean, they're all the movies that she's been, nominated for like Oscars
Do
for.
we think that this is a her problem or a Hollywood problem?
I think that this is a
I
little
think
bit
it's a
of a.
her problem,
I think
actually.
that for a while she was trained to chase an Oscar. And I think Jay, for the most part, is. I mean, you've got to probably her nominations pulled up, Jay. I think for the most part, her Oscar nominations are pretty interesting and pretty good films.
Mm.
She's not like. She's not particularly, though, one that outside of a couple of films recently, she's not turning out the best stuff,
Yeah,
and
although I wonder if, if you're her, like, are the part is the kind of, because Kate Winslet to me has always seemed like a very, very like serious actress first. And I
Yes.
I do have to wonder if, because I've loved her for a long time, but like I definitely agree with you, Jay, of like I probably have not seen the last like 5 or 6 things that she's been in.
All
But
right.
yet I
Oh,
also remember when she was on that HBO show a few years
Mayor of
back,
Easttown.
and it was like, oh my
I
God,
never watched that. Yeah,
why
I
is
need
You
to
never
watch that.
watched Mayor of
oh
I
my
need to
Easttown?
watch
God,
Mayor of Easttown.
that will be a revelation as to like
I don't. Yeah,
I don't understand after that show why like every major studio wasn't trying to find something for her to like lead in, or why like she didn't have a prestige HBO show like every single year.
She
Well,
did.
me and TV
She
have a
did.
bad
Yeah,
relationship. So.
I mean Ryan is bringing up a good point. Like I think she's leaned into TV more in more recent years because that's
Anybody
where the
seen
roles
The
she wants to play
Regime?
are.
That's the thing. She did
Oh
the
my God, I forgot about that. Of
she did the
course.
regime. It fucking sucks.
It does suck, but she's
And
good on it.
and it's not her fault though that it's bad. It's just poorly written. But no, like she did that with okay. So I want to break this down for Jay because Jay's opened up a theory here, and this is an extension of the Oscar game. So Jay, I'm going to help you out here, and I'm going to go through these movies. These are the films that she's been nominated for an Oscar before. Okay,
I'll tell
Now,
you if I've seen it.
I think you've seen most of these films.
Okay, let's see. Let's
All right. So in 2 years from this movie, she's nominated for her first Oscar. She's nominated for Best Supporting Actress in Sense and Sensibility for Ang Lee.
Haven't seen it.
You haven't seen that?
Nope.
Jesse, have you seen
Yeah,
Sense and Sensibility?
I've seen it. Good movie. Not
Good movie.
I don't love it. It's not my favorite Ang Lee, but
Yeah.
I think you'd like it, Jay, considering how much you like Little Women.
I should watch it.
Yeah, I think you would really like it too.
That's one I should watch.
Yeah, you love Emma Thompson.
Okay,
too,
what's
buddy.
next?
All right,
I do love Emma Thompson.
2 years later, 98, Best Actress, Titanic.
That's the one about the boat.
That's the one about the boat.
Have
dumbass.
seen it. Have
All
seen
right.
it. Have seen it.
All right. I know you haven't seen this one, but I'm going to say it anyway. In 2002, she was nominated for supporting actor for a movie called Iris.
Haven't seen it.
Okay.
Haven't seen it either.
Then in 2005, she was nominated for Best Actress for a movie called Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Have seen it. Love it.
Okay.
See, that's one where I'm like Kate Winslet really kind of taking a chance on something really out there. Love it. Awesome. Great work.
Jesse?
I no notes.
Okay.
Incredibly important performance that I had a huge crush on as a teenager.
There you go. Best 2007 Oscar, she's nominated for Best Actress for Little Children.
One of my embarrassing blind spots. Have not seen.
I know you're
think my favorite performance of hers.
I know you're a
that's
big Todd Field,
horrible blind spot for me.
and that's a Todd Field movie,
I know.
and Todd Field only delivers bangers. So
What if
Same
I-
year
what if I
she
told
was
you
in
it's
The
secret-
Holiday. Hate
Yes.
that movie.
Oh,
Shut
the
your
reason
mouth.
I kind of hate The Holiday, and the reason I hate it is because of what that movie does to her. But
Yeah.
Jay, Little Children, it's secretly a comedy.
yeah, it's secret. Just like most of Todd Field's movies.
That's a Tom Perrotta.
Yeah.
novel.
It's
buddy.
I was surprised. I rewatched it before Tar came out, and I was like on the floor laughing the entire time.
You were laughing a lot at Jackie.
I need to watch that. Todd Field, cool guy.
She was nominated in 2009 and won the Oscar for The Reader for Best Actress.
Much like Hugh Jackman. I
Yeah.
haven't seen The
The
Reader.
It
Terrible
is.
movie.
It's not good. She's good in it though. But
I'm
I
sure
think
she's good in most
but
of
I
these
think she
movies.
won.
They just on their surface are movies
should've
I have
won-
no interest.
She should have been nominated for, and she would have won for Revolutionary Road, which is a much better film.
Yes, which is
A
a
movie
movie
I
I
haven't seen.
also kind of hate, but
Yeah.
she is so much better at, like, I don't understand how you, even if you don't like Revolutionary Road, I don't understand how you see that
And not want to nominate it.
even if
Or
you see
as
you
opposed to
see
The Reader.
that and The Reader,
And you're like,
and
that's the
you're like,
one.
The Reader's the better one.
That's a Mendes.
Yeah, it's Mendes. It was big hyped up. It was like Mendes got
Who else is in
her
that? Is that
and
Leo? In
and
that?
Leo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Leo's in that.
I have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very distinctive memory about the marketing of this movie.
They were like trying to market it as like, like almost
Titanic
like Mad Men.
2.
Yeah, like
it was. I remember there were ads on TV that were like Leo and Kate in love again? Question
Question
mark.
mark.
Yeah.
And then, but the thing that's the person that stole the show in that movie is Michael Shannon. And that's the movie that sort of burst because Shannon gets nominated for the Oscar for Revolutionary Road. And it sort of birthed his run in the late
Mhm.
2000s, early
Isn't
2010s.
isn't David Harbour also in that
Yes,
movie?
he is. Yeah. David Harbour's
Yeah.
in it as well, too. He has, I think he's the one that has like he like her and David Harbour get it on in the back of a car, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds right.
If anything, what I would say about a Revolutionary Road is like, what if one of the first, like if Don Draper and Betty Draper, or even worse human beings,
Yeah, it's like
and
what if
wanted,
Mad Men but not funny?
yeah, but not good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But still
That sounds
interesting.
pretty bad.
Yeah, it's Mendes for you. And now with that, he's going to make 4 Beatles movies.
Hooray.
Well, she was married to Mendes at the time. She's no longer married to him anymore.
Oh, I forgot about that. That's right.
And then in her last nomination was in 2016 Oscars. She was nominated for supporting actress for Steve Jobs.
She didn't get nominated for movie 43?
Nope, sadly, buddy, that didn't.
You're sure
no.
about that?
Let me check. Yep.
Who is it in movie 43 that has like testicles hanging
That's
from
Hugh
there?
Jackman. That's
Jackman.
the segment that Kate Winslet is in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what movie she's great in? And because everybody's great in that movie, and it is just a great movie, is Contagion. She's
Yeah.
incredible in
She's
Contagion.
great in Contagion. She's
Yeah.
like the science. She's like the
She's like the science person that has to
explains
explain
everything.
Yeah, she explains the argon
She's like
theory.
the second
Yeah.
big person in the cast member that dies
Yeah.
in the movie, right?
It's like Gwyneth and then her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And Soderbergh's like, women that are blonde, kill them all. You know what I mean? But
I
also,
have to say I really liked
Divergent.
her in Steve Jobs. I think
I
she's,
like her in Steve
she's-
Jobs. Her
she's
accent
good.
is all over the place.
yeah, it is. I told you, Jesse, I was going to talk about that damn accent. It is a fucking wild accent. And yet, I do love her. You know, when she's just like, pick it up, Steve. You do it. I'm not going to do it. You do it. You know what I mean?
the scenes of her playing just back and forth with Fassbender are just
good
like
stuff.
Her Fassbender and Jeff Daniels are just really cooking in that movie.
That movie is the best of Sorkin and the worst of Sorkin.
Yeah, that is sadly true.
Wasn't that supposed to be Fincher, and then it got turned into Boyle?
I think that's right.
yes.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be Fincher and DiCaprio.
Yeah,
I've also heard
yeah.
Bale was also.
Oh
Bale.
man, Bale would have been great.
I think Fassbender. Look, I'm a Fassbender.
I love Fassbender,
I
but
love Fassbender. I think he's really good in that movie.
but
Yeah,
I think Bale
first
would have killed it
two-thirds
though. Yeah.
The first 2/3 of that movie are electric, and then the last third is like
It's-
Sorkin at his absolute
it's-
Well,
worst.
Sorkin just can't help himself. He prescribes.
I'm going to put everything for you in this little cube, and we're going to call it
one very specific thing
iPod.
as the thing that has defined this person.
Yeah.
I mean, he even does it in Social Network, which obviously is
Yeah.
a movie I absolutely adore.
Yeah,
but
the movie
the
fucking
whole point of
rules.
that
You have
movie
the-
is like he was obsessed with this girl, and that's
Yeah.
the reason he made
and
Facebook.
that's why we're all fucking
yet-
screwed.
And Steve Jobs,
yet
it was
that's-
his daughter. Yeah.
And that's why you know David Fincher is a great filmmaker, because there's that one incredible moment in the behind the scenes for The Social Network where Sorkin explains that it's all about the girl, and Fincher says, "That's stupid."
I mean, that is kind of the genius of Social Network, is that Sorkin is such an idealist and Fincher is such a cynic.
Fincher's like, this movie is about teenage rebellion, and Sorkin's like,
Yeah.
no, it's about a guy that did all this to get a girl back.
Yeah, and then it.
And that's
then
even a
it's-
problem I have with Moneyball. Is
No,
like,
Moneyball rules. Shut your mouth.
But
that's a
Moneyball
movie I need to
ends on that dope song.
rewatch.
Yeah, you're such a loser, Dad. Just enjoy the fucking show. All right.
When she's playing the guitar, that's
It
tough
is.
stuff.
It does make you cry. Though.
No, it's bad.
No,
That's sweet.
no. It's the teardrops on your guitar.
I haven't
Tell you
watched that
that.
movie in a long time. I need to rewatch it.
It fucking rules.
We should have given Brad Pitt an Oscar for that.
Yes,
Best
we
actor, he
should have.
should have won.
And any other? Hill's really good in it too. But I think Philip Seymour Hoffman's incredible in this couple scenes. There's that scene where
Chris Pratt.
That's true.
He's actually really good in it too. Like there's not a bad performance in that. But Pitt,
Kind of when Pratt was just like, I'm cool just showing up and stuff. Like when he just shows up for as like 5 seconds. As
well, he's
Remember
cool.
when everybody
Cool showing.
loved Chris Pratt?
Well, yeah, he was cool showing up in
They
this movie. He was
loved
cool
him.
showing up to
Parks and
to
Rec.
like to
Zero
probably
Dark 30.
yeah, it was cool showing up to like his kids like after school stuff with Anna Faris. You know what I mean? And then he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm not going to do that anymore because I saw Jesus or whatever." You know
He's
what I
just
mean? Yeah.
Schwarzenegger now.
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's a giant turd
He's
sandwich.
the brother-in-law of the guy from White Lotus.
Yeah, Jay, thoughts on season 3 of White Lotus?
Well, as it currently stands, I am 2 episodes away from finishing the series. One of them hasn't shown up yet, but I am a week behind.
Yeah,
I think it's good.
you think it's
that
good?
show is just good. I think
Oh,
Mike
okay.
White is a really good.
A lot of people are like kind of negative on this year, but
I've heard some
my-
people think it's really boring.
I
mean-
I will be the person that maybe says like it's kind of the same way I felt about season 3 of The Bear. But
Oh.
only to say of like the first 2 seasons are like some of the best seasons of television I've ever seen, and then the 3rd season of both White Lotus and The Bear is a pretty good season of a show that I generally really, really like.
I did say something similar about The Bear to my brother, who when he finished it was like, dude, that season was horrible. And I was like, I think you're confusing horrible with the worst season of a phenomenal show.
I mean, like I was able to see all the new season of Hacks, which is a show that I really love, and it's not as good as the first 3 seasons, but I still really liked it, and I will like to see more of it in the future, please, because there's a bunch of other television shows that I've seen this year, The Studio, that suck. So
it's The Studio. I've only
Wait,
seen
everybody
the first 2
loves The
episodes.
Studio.
Studio blows, guys. I gotta tell you this.
I
This
was
is
kind of I was kind
This
of
is a
mixed on
film
the first
Twitter.
episode.
This is a film Twitter thing. They fucking went all for this because it's like all these. It's member berries for
It's all
film
about
Twitter.
like and inside
Yeah.
jokes about the industry and
It is
stuff.
it is a
That's
show
the
that
thing I didn't like about the first episode.
it's
is
not
that
going to
I
get any
had-
better, Jesse.
Well, I had hopes because I loved that the second episode was basically just like, if this is just a cringe comedy of like Seth Rogen embarrassing himself in front of like really famous people, I'm here for that, but I'm not here for if it's going to be the member berries film.
It's
Twitter
going to be
jokes.
if you didn't like the first episode, there's 9 more of it where it's coming from.
Oh,
And the thing about it is, it's like Rogan and them have done the self, referential thing with this is the end.
This is the end.
Which is
Funny movie.
fucking rules. And
Funny
I
movie.
just think like this show is like, it's not saying anything.
Haven't seen it.
And so like, I actually, Jesse, would love to hear your thoughts on it when you're done, if you ever do finish it or keep going.
I'll see how episode 3 goes.
But I was just like, I finished it because, I had some time on my hands. And also they were like 30-minute episodes. I was like, okay, maybe it'll get better. Everyone says this is great. And I just got to the end of it. And I was just like, what an empty exercise. So, but
Let
no,
me just tell you, Parker Posey, unbelievable in season 3 of White Lotus.
she really is. She should
Like,
get
oh
a
my
fucking
God.
Emmy. She's incredible.
It is, especially like growing up in North Carolina, that
See, I spent a lot of time in North Carolina as well. Yeah.
the every choice
I lived in the
around that
triangle. Yeah,
family.
the Duke people. Yeah.
from their accents, what they do, how they look, how they dress, it's all just so like chef's kiss accurate.
Can I
It
say?
is. I did. I
can
went
I
to grad
say-
school in the triangle.
Can I say one
At
thing
the
about
other
the
school, NC State.
Can I say
Oh.
one thing about the like the incest plot line for this season?
I'll allow it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So everyone is like either really loving it, or for most prudes out there and everything, everybody's like, this incest storyline. And my thing was like, why are you guys like so mad at this incest storyline on this show when you watched 8 seasons of fucking Game of Thrones and like we're loving the shit out of that? The
Let me
first
just tell
episode
ya.
of Game of Thrones is a brother and sister literally getting it on, and the consequences of that child and everything in that season and that series revolves around pushing that kid out the window.
Also,
It's also about how weird it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that, like, is our like media literacy so bad that people like don't understand that like that's meant to be a like cringe joke
Yeah.
in the show?
The Sam Rockwell monologue is all time though.
Oh,
It's
my
great.
God.
That was unbelievable.
And you know what?
Walton Goggins' face too. You're like, the fuck? I was the same way watching it.
No, it's so good how understated his face is.
Yes,
like he's just like
Walton Goggins' smile in the most recent episode that I don't think you've seen, Jay.
I have not seen it.
Is worth the however many episodes it took of him just frowning all the time.
I mean, look,
just,
we love a Goggins Sunday. Righteous Gemstones and White Lotus. It's a Goggins fest.
Yeah, my girlfriend and I are watching Righteous Gemstones, and
same.
He on that show is in the zone now of like, Tim Robinson of just like I can't explain it. Just everything that man does.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I'm doing a rewatch with my wife right now. When he's at the resort, there will come a payday. Hallelujah, what a payday! Just unbelievable stuff. He's so committed. He rocks.
He's great on that. I loved him on Vice Principals. Like just fucking.
That is the one of that crew that I have not seen is Vice Principal.
It's just like him throwing insults at Danny McBride the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, sounds good.
It's so fucking good. I'm a big Goggins guy through and through. I even watched what was that, Fallout, and I thought he was great. Like the show was kind of okay.
Oh, yeah, he plays like the zombie guy,
but he was fucking great on that show because he provides the energy that show needs, and he was great on Justified. I loved him on Justified. I
think he's one of the like him and Jennifer Jason Leigh are like the two real standouts of Hateful Eight.
Yeah, he knows Tarantino used him for a few movies.
He knows how to he knows how to make that dialogue fucking sing. Yeah. In those movies, in Tarantino movies.
He was the one when I rewatched that movie.
Yeah, recently, he's incredible.
That was just like holy shit. I remembered Jason Leigh and Sam Jackson being amazing in it, but I was just like, oh my god, I forgot how hilarious.
But also Goggins becomes one of the most essential characters in the whole movie by the end.
Yeah, he does, and that's what's so. God, I do like the movie. I know that people don't care for it.
Good.
But the thing about Winslet too, going back to her, is in between. Going back to the fucking point of the show, the thing about her, which is so crazy, is like, okay, she's clearly in this like mode of trying to get an Oscar, and she finally gets it with The Reader, and then she's really not done a crazy amount of shit. She did the two series, right? She did Mildred Pierce with Todd Haynes.
Ryan, that's just not true. She's done a ton of stuff.
Not a ton of good stuff. Let me rephrase
I agree with that. Yeah.
Like she won that Oscar, and then she did Mildred Pierce, right? Which she won an Emmy for, was with our beloved Todd Haynes.
Our good buddy Todd Haynes.
And then she did like Carnage, Contagion, which I mean she's good in it, but she's like one of 100 actors.
But she's one of the big four in Carnage.
Yeah, and that movie like tanked.
It's a big movie from everybody's favorite human, Roman Polanski.
Yeah, Jay's guy. He has breakfast on Sundays with him. Then she does movie 43, which is one of the worst movies in
it's just like a lark, 20 years. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't really count against her.
Labor Day, which was
she's the star of.
Yes, but it's a massive hit. Like in terms of like on her resume, like it is not good. Like that's a bad movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's a math. What are you talking about?
Like a hit on her resume.
It hurts her.
It hurts her. Yeah. Then she does the Divergent movies.
Yep. Thank God.
She had to get paychecks. And then she's doing like movies like A Little Chaos, The Dressmaker, Daisy Chain, The Lost Letter, Collateral Beauty,
999, which is like one of those movies that sounds awesome on paper that went absolutely nowhere.
Sucks. The Mountains Between Us sucked. Wonder Wheel with her other with Jay's other guy, Woody Allen.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Then she's like, she's in just nothing. And then in 2020 she does Ammonite.
Which is supposed to be a big deal.
It's supposed to be a big deal. And I remember
kind of her going toe to toe with her.
Saoirse Ronan.
I shouldn't say toe to toe because they're in love in the movie, but her Saoirse Ronan I think of as like the millennial version of Kate Winslet.
Yeah, she's trying to take that crown.
Similar career trajectory from like young, child prodigy.
You know what I love about Ammonite is it's the press tour, and Jade's gonna roll his eyes at me. But when like they were doing the press tour for this, and Winslet and Ronan were like, yeah, we really went at it and like tried to make it as authentic a sex scenes as possible. And we really talked it out and sat through it and really, just tried to go at it and figure all this thing out. And it's like, then you watch the movie and it's like, oh, so you guys just figured out how to sit on each other's faces? Because that's like every fucking scene that you guys do, or you're like a chair for each other at this point.
Tell you what I like
mean?
about Ammonite.
The fossils.
The production design. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, Jay?
Yeah.
Is that what you got?
It's
Did you
great.
even
I think
see
they did a
Ammonite?
great job. I have not seen Ammonite. I have seen what's the what's the Rachel McAdams, Rachel Weisz one?
Devotion?
That had some great set.
You mean the one where was it McAdams that spits into Vice's mouth?
I gotta be real. I do not remember either of these, so you guys are like blowing my mind right now. Telling me
that one, I can't remember much about it other than the phenomenal production design. But what's the other one? Who was in the other one? Vanessa Kirby and Catherine Waterston.
Oh, that's the monophosphate one.
The Brady Corbet's wife.
Yeah,
partner who.
That one had slightly less good production design, but still pretty good.
Okay. Yeah. Did you like the cinematography in all those films, Jay?
Yeah, the texts are just out of this world.
You fucking idiot. Then she does Mare of Easttown, back to Winslet. And then she's now with Big Jim. She's making Avatar movies, baby.
What's her character's name in Avatar?
She's some sort of sea creature, I think. Yeah.
Ronal,
yeah. And then last year she did Lee. And she was photographer Lee Miller.
In Way of Water, she's like the queen, right?
Yeah, she's the queen of the water people.
Yeah,
and she's like pregnant.
Avatar.
Yeah, and she's like pregnant, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
She's going to be in the new one.
Yeah.
You guys excited about that?
Fire and Ash. I dug The Way of Water, man.
Yeah, I did too.
I was so into it.
You know what? I've fully come around to like Way of Water shut me up so good from like
because
I don't like the first Avatar.
We all hated the first one, right? First one.
I don't hate it.
I like the first one, but for a good like decade plus was like this movie has like no cultural value and like what is James Cameron doing wasting his time making
and they're gonna release that second one and it's gonna
actually agree with that. I wish James Cameron had made 4 movies in the last 15 years instead of 2.
And then Way of Water came out and it ruled, and I went and saw it multiple times and was like, you know what, Big Jim can do these for the rest of his life if he wants.
It did rock.
It was like, guys, we need to shut the fuck up. Big Jim knows what he's doing. Yeah, I love that movie. Jay and I, we did a series on him on the old show, and
Brian hated Cameron before we did that.
And I grew to love Big Jim. Big Jim's my guy. We have brunch every Sunday. He's under the sea. I'm above water. And I hate the first Avatar. I think it's a pretty stupid, terrible movie. And when I saw the second one, I never saw the first one in 3D, so maybe that was a little bit of the reason why, but also I just think the story's stupid. The second film I saw in 3D in IMAX, and I have to tell you, it is one of the best theater going experiences I've had of this decade.
I didn't see it in IMAX. I saw it in Dolby.
In my IMAX had Dolby as well.
That's where Big Jim wanted us to watch it. He said, "Where's the best theater in Atlanta?" They said the Dolby in Alpharetta, which is way out of town.
Jay, would you drive again?
Were like, "Thank you, sir. May I have another?"
Will you drive again this year to do it?
If that's where Big Jim wants to have the
he's going to probably send it there. Send you guys there.
Probably.
You know what? He can.
That's the way of Big Jim. And then
Fire and Ash.
And then I was listening to him 2 years ago, I guess, talk with Greta Gerwig, and he looks like a fucking Bond villain. He looks like Blofeld underneath the sea when he's talking on these Zoom calls with people.
He's like a cool Elon Musk.
Well, you gotta love like Big Jim being
you think he's even cooler than Elon?
Well, for you, Jay, I bet that's tough. But I remember the whole thing with the what was it, the people that died underwater.
David Thewlis is in the new Avatar.
Wait, really?
That rules.
Isn't Michelle Yeoh in it as well?
Well, we don't have to talk about that.
Not seeing Michelle Yeoh on here.
Well, if she's not in it, maybe it's got a good chance of being good.
David Thewlis is a Na'vi.
Just saying, Michelle Yeoh hasn't made a lot of great.
David Thewlis is going to be a Na'vi. Oh man.
apparently.
Name me the project Michelle Yeoh has done that's been good outside of Everything Everywhere All at Once, and even that's a mid film. So no,
everyone, everywhere, all the time is pretty good.
you can't even get the fucking title right.
When do we need to redelegate that movie?
Now it's not
well-
good. It was not good. It was never good. It's just a film. Again, it's another film.
I think it's good. I just think it's also annoying.
Yeah.
It can
I
be both.
remember really liking it, but I've been wondering lately. I think I only saw it the once, like when it came out.
Not going back to cling to that film to grab it off the shelf.
I think
Right.
it winning Best Picture or not. Did it win Best
Yeah,
Picture?
it did.
It did.
It won
I think
like
that's
7 Oscars,
that's a
man.
problem for it. I think that will hurt its legacy.
Well, I just think that there are a lot of other, like, I want to go back and watch Nope before I watch that movie.
I mean, Nope is better
Nope.
I want to go watch
awesome.
The Fablemans.
But
I want to
that's the
go
problem
watch.
but what you're
Tar.
saying is only related to it winning Best Picture because you're like it shouldn't have won Best Picture. Over
No, I'm
this,
just saying, like, I
therefore
want to go see other
inflating
movies.
your hatred of it.
No,
I
I'm
wonder
going
if
back
it's
to what
also
Jesse
just
said.
a sort of like I don't know. I doubt they listen to this show. If they listen to this show, I don't totally mean this as an insult, but like
They probably
does.
do. They listen to it.
are we going to be like have to redelegate the Daniels and being like, are we sure they're good? Because we've fully gone through this with like the Russos at this point
Oh,
of like after the Marvel stuff, people were like, these are
these are good
two-
guys.
top tier blockbuster filmmakers, and now we're kind of like these guys are kind of
I don't know.
hacks.
You guys must
And
not have seen
then-
The Electric State.
I got to tell you,
And then like
Pretty great.
like I'm a little suspicious that I don't think we're gonna be is Everything Everywhere All at Once gonna be extra weird because
They're
we're
just going
not
to make junk from here on out.
right. We're not gonna think of the Daniels in the same way as like
Christopher
we
Nolan.
think of even let's say people of our own generation. I will put chips down on that. We'll be looking back at like the Safdies and Ari Aster as like important filmmakers of their generation.
Oh yeah.
But like,
Well, I mean,
the
I
Daniels were
couldn't
going to be
even
like,
tell you who directed Coda. I have no
Sean
idea.
Heder. Sean Heder.
Sure.
Yeah. But she hasn't done anything since. I mean,
I know.
her only thing was she was on those couple episodes of Barry. Remember where like Sarah Goldberg's doing like that TV or that fake movie or
that's
whatever
right.
on the final
Yeah.
seasons or whatever.
Congratulations.
She's
Did she get was she a producer? Did she get an Oscar for Best Pick? Probably not.
She won screenplay.
Mm,
She won adapted screenplay.
very cool.
But
I know it's a good
all I'm-
movie
all I'm
from
saying-
one of the Daniels, The Death of Dick Long. Good movie.
the Daniel Scheinert
I
film.
haven't seen that one.
I like that movie.
I do like the movie. I think this.
All I'm saying is, are we going to look back on it?
Jesse.
And the cultural knowledge of that movie is going to go from like greatest movie of the decade to pretty fun movie made by guys who like do kind of weird fart jokes, but like this is not
maybe
the
flew.
greatest.
Maybe they flew
I
like
think
a little too
I
close
think
to the
for
sun.
people who were between the ages of 16 and 25 or 13 and 25 when that movie came out, I think that will be a seminal movie for them.
You know
That's
what
fair.
you know what that movie is, and I'm not saying they're the same thing because one movie I think is a masterpiece, and the other movie is Everything Everywhere All at Once. But for
The
them,
Matrix.
I was gonna, I think it's like that generation's version of the Matrix.
I kind of agree.
I
with
think that
or
a lot
or
of
like
people-
Pulp Fiction or
Yeah.
something like the kind of like movie going experience that like rewires a generation's brain of
Well,
like
it's the
this.
I agree. That's
kinda-
kind of how I feel about it. It's like,
It's the
oh,
kind-
I want to go watch anime. I want to go
Yeah.
watch.
I want to watch In the Mood for Love. I want to watch The Matrix. I want to watch
hell,
Michelle
yeah, I wanna
Yeoh's
go see The
films.
Matrix.
I want to see, Ratatouille
It's a
and Pixar.
gateway movie.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah.
But here's the
For a
problem.
generation of kids that only saw
But
Marvel
it's just
movies,
not.
But
a
it's not
movie
our
of
generation's
influences,
gateway,
Not,
you know what I mean?
Not a
Yeah.
movie
Right.
of
Because when we did it, it opened up the door for Tarantino and it opened up for the Wachowskis and all these other
Yeah.
directors.
I did
and-
like the Ratatouille joke. That was good.
And
that was great.
And the thing is like, okay, to your point, Jesse, is this
what was it? Raccoon Two?
Raccoonie?
Raccoonie. That's what it was.
So like, are the Daniels going to be? Are they going to be Tarantino? Are they going to be, the Wachowskis? Are they going to open up and have their own thing, or are they going to be like Adam McKay, where they get their Oscar and they fly close to the
very
sun?
simply, they are not
know.
going to be the Wachowskis or
Yes.
Well, no, but, like-
you're talking about some special.
No,
thing.
I understand that, but you're just saying, listen to your own words, Jay. Sometimes that'll help.
Listen to
Is that
I'm saying they might be
is
like
that
a Richard Kelly.
oh damn, that's hard.
we should do Richard Kelly on the show.
You know what? I bought the films and I'm ready to do it whenever you want.
Do I need to revisit
the
Southland
box.
Tales? I like the box.
I want to talk
is
about the
good.
box with Jay. That's
Southland Tales is good.
Okay, I'll revisit it.
But no, I mean,
watch the extended cut.
To another generation, like to the younger generation, to your point, Jay, they could see these guys. Like, I'll tell you this. This is a good story to tell. And if they're listening, if they ever listen to this, this is the vibe I got from you guys.
The Daniels?
Yes, the Daniels. So
They're
I was
on
at
the show
I was at South by Southwest last year. And this was
Towers.
like Monkey Man and, you know, a bunch of other films were out that year at South by. And the constant people I saw at every screening were the Daniels. And it was almost like a celebration tour because 2 years before they had premiered the film at South by Southwest. It was the first film back from the pandemic, opening the fest. It was a rock concert in that auditorium, right? And then the next year during South by, they were winning all the Oscars, right? So they came back just as like guests and they did a panel. And I think they mentioned something about AI and got a little bit of like hesitation and boos, which was really funny. But at every screening, they were sitting at their seats and just people would swarm up to them. And you could tell that they loved it because it was like their chance to like, kind of like, you know, be the number one person in the
talk
room.
of the town.
They were the talk of the town. But you could tell that they also were really focused on hearing everyone. They stayed at the end of, I think there was a screening for Dee Dee. I think
they seemed like really nice
and they were really nice guys. They really were.
Yeah.
And that can go in when you get a big deal like they did from Universal, that could go straight to your head. That could be like you could, you know, and I've
they
heard
don't have anything in the works.
No, they had a movie and then it got indefinitely delayed and now they don't know what's going to happen and no one knows what's going to happen with that film. There wasn't anything announced at CinemaCon, but the point being is like they're going to ride that wave for as long as they can, but time will tell, like Jesse's saying, whether or not that movie made an imprint or whether it was just like we got caught up in the moment because we needed
just a flash in the pan.
Exactly. It's a massive flash in the pan.
All I'm saying is if we're going to look at director duos of their generations, the Safdie brothers went in the Criterion closet and they got me to watch like Abbas Kurosami's Close Up and like a few Cassavetes movies, and the Daniels went into the Criterion closet, pulled off Malcolm X off the shelf and went, "This is one of our favorite crime movies."
And I remember sitting there going, holy fucking shit, that's the most insensitive thing you could say.
to be clear, great movie.
I mean,
Great
to
movie.
be fair, my favorite my favorite Spike Lee movie, and I would never classify it as a crime movie. Unless
Jesse, what's your favorite Spike? I think we talked about this when we went to see Bamboozled together.
I'm kind of boring. I mean,
or you do the right thing.
Do the right thing is such a like movie.
It's not a boring pick. I mean, it's a great movie.
My favorite movie of the '80s. But yeah, Malcolm X would be my number 2, and 25th Hour would be my number 3.
My widest opinion is that 25th Hour is my favorite Spike Lee movie.
God, that's the fucking widest thing you've ever said in your fucking life. And every time you say it, I get so kind of like, why did we do? Good. I'm like, Jay, why did we do the exercise of having you see other people's perspectives for you to be like, you know, not the one I connect with.
That movie,
the one
that movie is unbelievable.
Jay's number 2 is fucking Old Boy. You know what I mean?
That's the one you throw at people if you got like a racist uncle that's like going on.
Spike Lee doesn't make any good movies. Oh yeah, and then you put on the 25th Hour, and you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe he does know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I think it's 25th Hour, Malcolm X, Do the Right Thing, probably for me.
Old Boy.
Old Boy 4 for sure.
Yeah, for sure, big time.
We love Old Boy.
Anything else you guys? Going really off the rails here, right? Anything else you guys want to say about Heavenly Creatures as a film, and just kind of get back to that really quick?
What is up with the strays that Orson Welles catches?
Man, he was catching some strays in this thing.
Like the most hideous man alive, Orson Welles. Come on, man.
What if the Daniels become Orson Welles and they had like one great movie and then a bunch of misunderstood movies after that?
What do you mean? Orson Welles made
Orson
good movies.
The Trial. chimes of midnight.
I don't
Just
know.
throw rocks.
Some people say that Orson Welles never got back to that prominence. I'm not saying that, but
Well,
I'm just
I
saying.
mean,
those people
Citizen
need to
Kane
watch
is a
more
hard
movies
thing
than
to
Citizen
match.
Kane.
Yeah,
but-
exactly. What I'm saying is that people will go out there and say that Everything Everywhere All at Once is the Citizen Kane.
I'm honestly not that worried about people comparing the Daniels to Orson Welles.
I
But
don't know. You never know.
we'll see. I don't know. I mean, shame on them for shaming Orson Welles. That's rude.
Yeah.
I
What
don't
a
appreciate it.
character.
Gotta say, brick in the pantyhose, it felt like she was struggling to get that brick in there, by the way. Like, it looked like it couldn't fit in there. I was,
I'm a little surprised those pantyhose stayed, together as they're
yeah, it
strapped.
didn't tear.
That is true. Those are
right?
some strong pantyhose.
Some really strong pantyhose. We gotta get
You could turn that
sponsorship
into
on
a
the show.
marketing
Yeah,
campaign.
exactly. I don't think they want that kind of campaign for a movie like this. Could you imagine? Like,
There's no
Heavenly
bad
Bridges
publicity.
sponsored by these pantyhose from New Zealand. So they're so strong they'll kill your mother. You know what I mean?
You can imagine one of those like late night TV like infomercials, and they're like actually putting the brick down in the pantyhose to like show you on television.
These things can withstand anything. They can withstand marbles. They can withstand bricks.
Hi, I'm Billy Mays, and these are the.
I will say, I mean, name another movie that had two dynamite first time performances like this movie did. I mean, obviously there are people whose first, movies, one person who had and introducing who was, knocked it out of the park.
Like a movie that introduced two generational actors.
Yeah, I mean, there's the average person would not say that Melanie Lynskey is a generational actor.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
I mean, I think she's.
Who
I
are
think
some
she's
others
incredible.
in contention that you're thinking of?
I mean, I'm. That's the thing. I'm not thinking of.
Oh, so you brought a prompt and then you didn't have an answer for it? Good job.
Yeah, that's
Real
what
smooth.
what a prompt does.
Is Taxi Driver Jodie Foster's
It's definitely-
debut?
Yeah, but it's definitely not
It's not De Niro's.
Oh yeah, you mean like two
like the leads both.
Like
the co-leads? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is. I mean, it's mostly young performers, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Or something like American Graffiti, where like or Days
Oh, that's a good one.
Where Harrison
there's-
Ford is in like a bit part.
right
and
where there's tons of people who are
Richard
just like
Dreyfuss.
show up for a few
Dreyfuss.
scenes.
Yeah, that's probably a good one. Yeah. What'd you say, Jay?
No, that is a good one. I'm trying to think of how new were the people in Last Picture Show. I know it was Sybil Shepherd's first movie.
Is it Jeff Bridges first?
That's what I was thinking
Pretty
about. But I think he
close.
was like a.
Like a TV guy?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Why don't you, damn it, come prepared to the show? God damn it. Now I'm just thinking about-
Jeff Bridges' first performance was in 1951. He played a character named Infant.
Oh,
Now I'm just thinking
He
about
had
those
been
infomercials for the
acting.
pantyhose. We gotta be.
This was
making some-
his first kind of real. That was his first real movie. But
Hi, I'm Billy Mays here.
remember Billy Mays? That guy.
What happened to him?
he died.
He died.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Cocaine overdose or something
How
like
the
that.
how
Actually,
the,
you should probably
how the tables
research
have
that
turned
so
on
you don't
Ryan.
get
Couldn't
sued.
remember the
He
Billy
died with a
Mays
different
guy.
kind of brick. You know what I mean? So there you go. Right?
Yeah. Good for-
you better
good for
research
him.
that, but before needing to bleep it out, you don't.
Nah,
we're gonna
watch,
keep- nah,
we're gonna keep it in.
Mays Estate.
Have any either of y'all watched the old?
I just
Man,
imagine
the
like
Jeff
the
Bridges show?
I just imagine
I
like the
have.
Mays Estate
any
waiting
good?
for a random ass podcast to like
Uh,
talk about him.
One of those shows where like the first couple episodes were awesome, and then after that, you kind of just wish it was a movie because it like
it
really
outstays its
What, like the
welcome.
old man?
it just like really hits the
Yeah, the
brakes
old
to the
man.
point of like, oh, we really got to drag this premise out for a show, and it
I mean,
goes,
the idea of Jeff Bridges' revenge, old man, sounds pretty great.
yeah.
I know
The
I know
first two episodes rule, and then after that, it gets pretty dull.
I know Eric really loves it.
Mm.
But that's because he's an old man.
That's
Ayo,
true.
ayo.
Very
So
nice.
just a real shot at our boss right there. There you go.
I love Jeff Bridges.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you love Eric, but
Love Eric as well.
Well, no, you just went to Bridges first. You didn't even
I mean,
say
look, I
it
love
to.
Jeff Bridges more than Eric. But
Well, you should love Eric more. He allows us to do this show on this platform.
I
But
still love Jeff Bridges more.
he is the dude, though. So the dude abides.
He was in The Big Lebowski. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I recently did? I got all the I recently finished collecting the last couple of Coen Brothers movies that I didn't have on physical media.
Oh,
Did
So-
they ever do a
They
Buster
didn't do
Scruggs physical? I don't think they have.
No, they haven't done that one. That's the ones that are available.
come
Let me
on,
say that.
Netflix. Criterion's right there. They've done like 4 other Coen Brothers movies.
You know,
Yeah.
I've never seen one Coen Brothers movie.
You're such a.
I've seen all of them but one.
Which
Can you
one?
guess which one it is?
You haven't seen?
Lady Killers.
No,
I've
he's
seen
seen
Lady
that one.
Killers.
He's seen Intolerable Cruelty. I'm gonna say you haven't seen Miller's Crossing.
No, I've seen Miller's Crossing. Great
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Man Who Wasn't There.
The Man Who Wasn't
Oh.
There. Oh, I just got that on Blu-ray.
I would love to hear your thoughts on it when you
I
do
own
see
it on Blu-ray. I haven't watched it.
Wait, what?
One of theirs I admire more than I enjoy,
Yeah, shame on you, Jay.
but
You know
probably Roger Deakins' best cinematography.
his best. You know that's like Roger
Yeah.
Deakins you're talking about there, right? Like he's did like
It's up there. It's
he
up
did like
there.
he did that
No,
movie called
no.
Assassination of Jesse James
Yeah.
with the guy Robert Ford.
So it's his second best looking movie, I think.
What's his first?
Wow.
Assassination of Jesse,
Jesse James.
Yeah.
By
Yeah.
The Coward Robert Ford.
thank you. We do full titles on this show.
I'm trying to
I,
look
I
at,
appreciate
like-
that. I appreciate
There's
You're
that.
welcome.
I mean I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but
You haven't seen
got
Jesse
some
James?
good movie. No, I've seen Jesse James. I saw that
70
in the
mil
theater
right?
with him.
Oh yeah, with
He was
Deacons. That was
there.
the Deacons night. Yeah, that you went.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
somebody asked him a question about, hey, I'm a burgeoning
Oh, yeah, that's right.
cinematography student.
He basically told
Um,
him, "Shut the fuck
I
up."
I would like
know?
you to just like AI is obviously like a huge problem right
That's
now.
right.
Can you like
That's my
just
favorite
like give
story.
us some hope and kind of reinforce our dreams of being cinematographers? And he was like, I don't know, AI is like pretty useful.
And his wife went like,
And his wife was like,
Roger.
shut up, Roger, shut up.
Sure.
Tell him something that they want to hear."
Hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Um,
got a signed Roger Deakins book.
Jay, what do
It was his
you
book of photography.
think of the dreamlike sequences, the clay people in this
Fargo is a great looking movie.
in this movie in Heavenly Creatures? I'm trying to get
The
back
look
on-
of them.
yeah, like aren't they terrifying?
Yeah, I mean the effects are obviously incredibly outdated.
but they're
No, but
terrifying.
they're awesome. They're so
No,
cool.
they're awesome.
They're
Yeah.
like they're like something off of like a Power Ranger show or like a Demented Kids show.
That
Yeah,
is
like
right.
Demented
it's
Spy
that
Kids.
Peter Jackson's
Yeah.
penchant for schlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Like I wish movies would do this now. Like bleed into the schlock and the
Yeah.
silliness. You know what I mean? Yeah. It
Oh
looks
God, The Village. That's a good looking movie.
Oh, I love The Village. That's
I
a
really
great
like The
movie.
Village.
When I did a
He
whole
shot The Reader
Did he? Oh, that's right.
Oh, did he
shoot the
really?
Reader. He did shoot
Yeah.
the Reader. That's right.
and Revolutionary Road.
Road. Yeah, because he's a
He's a
Mendes
Kate
guy. Because he's a
Stan.
Mendes.
No, he's a Mendes guy. He's a Mendes
Yeah.
boy. Because he
Yeah.
did 19. Oh, wait a minute, son of a bitch.
Skyfall.
Skyfall.
Deakins is going to come out of retirement and do the fucking Beatles movies, isn't he?
I didn't know he was retired.
Well, he's kind of semi-retired. He hasn't done anything since what?
You know what? I never
Empire of
saw.
Light?
I never saw.
I guess that's
Empire of
true.
Light.
He's only doing Mendes movies.
I guess so.
Empire of Light kind of drove me insane.
I remember. Okay, if you ever want to just
God, he shot the Goldfinch.
sometimes you go to film festivals. Jay knows this. You go to film festivals. You get a little hyped up. You're there. You see a movie, and then a couple months later, you're like, "Whoa, I was so wrong on that." One of those was Empire of Light. Walked out of it. I was like, "Wow, I actually really like that." And da 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 da. Very different than what I've seen from minutes before. Tried to go back to it months later, and I sat for the first 30 minutes and went, "Holy fuck! What? No, this is not good." Ryan, what were you thinking? So it's one of those guys. Sometimes
I
you catch
definitely walked out thinking, why does that handsome theater guy in his 20s
want to be
want
with.
to want to have sex with the mentally ill coworker up in the nasty attic of the movie theater instead of going out to a bar with other young
Just
people.
anybody,
Yeah.
anybody.
I
Yeah,
did think,
I
or
think
I
Coleman
still
was
still
good
do
though.
think
Yeah.
Villeneuve and Deakins were a great pair.
Yeah,
They were.
can
They
you
were.
imagine what Raj would have done with Dune? It would have looked a hell of a lot better than what it does look like.
It looks okay.
It doesn't look good.
It's very brown.
Beige.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah, it would have just
I
looked
saw.
better.
Maybe more orange.
Yeah,
I believe I sat next to
like
Jesse
Furiosa.
watching Dune 2, and then when it was over, I was like, "That was like okay, right?" And he was like, "That rocked."
Yeah.
Um,
I had a great time.
no, I think of it like I wish it looked like how Furiosa looked, which was like I don't know, pretty epic. Because
Well, it's a very kind of technicolory kind of
yeah,
action.
I wish it had the balls to be a little bit
Look,
more
I
out
like
there.
Furiosa
That's
more than Dune 2. But
Yeah.
that's one of my two movies from last year that I walked out like almost a reverse of Jay's situation. Walked out being like that rocked, and then everyone else in the world was like that sucked. It's
Which one?
Furiosa, and then Trap later.
Oh,
Like
Trap
we
oh,
rules.
Trap
both
rules.
walking out
Trap
being like that
rules.
was awesome, and then like people were like Trap sucked. Why was it so silly? I was like, because
Jay,
M
have
Night
you turned on
Shyamalan is
Trap?
silly.
I I still don't love Trap. I think it's very fun.
Yeah, but it
Uh,
rules.
I think we should have nominated Josh Hartnett for Best Actor.
Yes,
I
yes.
did nominate. He was on my ballot for best
He was
actor.
on my
Yeah.
ballot every time last
No, I
year.
mean
All my
what
critics
I would
group.
say about Trap is I'm like 3.5 stars masterpiece.
For M
Yeah.
Night. For M Night, that's a masterpiece.
And then
It was in my
Furiosa, I walked out and was like, that ruled. A perfect summer movie. And then everyone else was like mid.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, you guys fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like, you rather go see. Sorry, Jesse, but like, I thought Dune 2 was such a meh movie.
That's okay.
And then but then everyone was like, dude, it's the greatest movie ever. And I'm like,
My brother like loved the movie. Every time I'm like, yeah, like
people
I
love
get
Dune
it.
2.
And he was
They
like,
love it.
that like illegitimizes you to talk about movies. Like you are not allowed to talk about movies if you don't think that is a
But I was
masterpiece.
so worried. I was so worried about Furiosa going in, and then man, that movie. And I'm not a prequel guy. Jay knows that. I hate prequels.
I think Furiosa was awesome.
I think that movie
I think we
rules.
should have nominated Chris Hemsworth for Best
It
Supporting
plays
was
like
Actor.
great.
it plays like a Bible epic. I think
Yeah.
it's so cool the way that it kind of orients
Absolutely, for sure. And then Trap. I mean, In Night's my boy through and through.
itself.
Hartnett's
Is your
incredible.
boy. I love.
Yeah, I love him.
I think I liked Old more than Trap.
I love it when M Night's on fire, man. There's like he's got that feeling. He's got the juice of just having a feeling where you're like, man,
Mid-sized sedan.
yeah, he just makes choice. He's a guy that makes choices, and I respect the fuck out of him for doing that. He may not make sometimes the best choice, but it's a choice that I'm willing to take a ride with, as opposed to when you watch the Russos, those fuckers don't know how to make a choice.
Heavenly Creatures. They made the choice.
To make a
Kill their
great
mom.
movie.
Damn it, Jay. Yes, they did, and those are consequences. I mean, I gotta tell you, reading that crawl at the end of the film, just of like, and the condition of their release is they never see each other again.
That's pretty. That's crazy.
That's
like some
fucking
that's
wild.
That's some yeah. That's some medieval.
It's
type
like
stuff.
it's like the fucking judge was like, and the jury were like, we know these two are fucking crazy.
Like the
We can't
Salem
get them in
witch
a room
trials.
together. You know what I mean? Yeah, it just like kind of continues the thread
They,
of
they like
the
put these little beepers on them, so like if they get too close to each other, like
Like a little-
there's like a siren that goes off in the like New
It's like
Zealand
a severance
police
chip in
precinct.
their head.
No, what they
Yeah.
did is they put they attached two giant magnets to them with the sides like aligned with each other, so they literally couldn't get close to each other.
God, you didn't just feel like there was a Dateline episode where they wanted to put them back together for just for just the review purposes. Keith Morrison be like, and then we got them back together for one time only. It's like, you're gonna tell me that they would have never found each other? Like, I don't know about that. The law is going to be broken. Most of these judges would be dead. Like, yeah, when they're
For
like
some reason, that
80.
just reminded me of the reality show. Did y'all ever watch Kid Nation?
Oh boy.
This sounds familiar.
Enlighten me, Jay.
All right, so Kid Nation was
God damn it. This fucking show sometimes, I
it
swear
was
to God.
essentially it was
Am
essentially
I
like
the guest that creates the most kind of digressions?
No,
no,
I
this is
this is
inherent to the
this
show.
is
This is built
actually just a
this
basic
is built
episode.
in.
This is a regular
So
episode.
Kid Nation was a TV show where they essentially inhabited this sort of old west town, but it was inhabited by all children under 14 or something like that. And so they sort of created it was very Lord of the Flies, but real life. And so these kids would make alliances and have elections and get in fights and all of this stuff. And it was shot very objectively. It seemed a very documentary style where they were just
It's like
letting
Roger
these kids
Deakins
do
did
their
that too.
thing.
Yeah.
I think it lasted like 5 episodes before they were like, this is incredibly unethical. And
Yeah, this
It's a-
sounds like the premise for like a Nathan Fielder show.
no, truly, that is kind of what it
This
was.
sounds
Yeah.
like that episode of South Park where like they go to the prospector place or whatever, and like everybody's still in character for
God,
like
I've been watching
for the
some.
episode. You know what I
I've been
mean?
watching some Nathan for You recently. Just one of the best shows.
Oh my God.
He is a genius.
Jesse, I know you're a Nathan for You guy. Ryan, you a Nathan for You guy?
Yeah, man. I'm a Nathan
What's your
Fielder
favorite?
guy.
What's your favorite Nathan for You episode?
I know it's basic, but the Starbucks episodes, just the
That one
crazy.
is really good.
It's really
I
good. It's one of those where like sometimes the best answer is the basic answer. You know what I mean? But
I think my favorite is still the the haunted house realtor
yeah.
and how escalated it gets.
Oh, that's the
with
same one with the hunk in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
That
so.
that one rocks.
And,
I had
and
to-
then
my-
I also have
yeah.
a soft spot for the liquor store one, if only for the moment when like
That one's really
that
good.
14-year-old like buys like a handle of rum or something, and they're like, yeah, can I buy this? And he's like, they're like, yeah, of course. And he finally purchases it, and they take it off the counter. He's like, wait, what? And the just look of like pure disappointment on that kid's face as they explain to him that, no, I mean, you own it, you can take photos with it, but we're just gonna like take this to the back. You can't have it until you're 21.
I think mine is either the Claw of Shame, which is
Mhm.
obviously an incredible episode, or just on a very like juvenile level, the one where they build the soundproof box for the children in the hotel.
Oh my God. My wife cannot watch this stuff. She thinks it's really funny, but she gets really stressed by it. And
I also really like the one with the pet graveyard, the pet funeral
Oh
service.
yeah.
yeah,
That one is so funny.
it's so
Is
funny.
is Nathan for You your favorite Nathan Fielder project?
Well, I haven't seen what was the Emma Stone show?
Oh, The Curse.
Haven't seen The Curse.
That one's great, but is the cringe taken to a level of like almost being a drama.
There's
Yeah,
probably an
it's-
argument that the best of the rehearsal is the best stuff that he's done,
Mhm.
but I don't think it is consistently
I think it's Nathan. I
phenomenal.
think it's Nathan for You.
Interesting.
I think it's Nathan
I-
for You because of the fact that like there is that it's that weird thing of like it was this weirdly for me like the first thing I
Also, anything with the private investigator guy is pretty good.
but I feel like I don't know the rehearsal is a good
Oh, actually,
was-
you know what? Sorry to interrupt you again. It's the
well,
one with the gas rebate. I think that's my favorite episode.
Oh yeah.
I think
Anyway.
that's my favorite episode.
Any last thoughts you guys have on Heavenly Creatures?
Uh,
Are we
No,
still even
Peter-
talking about that movie?
Peter Jackson made a really good movie, and I wish it was easier to find because I also had to watch a version someone generously just uploaded to YouTube that hadn't gotten.
Yeah, I watched that one too. Actually,
Yeah.
wasn't a
Yeah.
bad look.
I didn't know
No,
it
it
was
was
on
pretty good.
YouTube.
So hunt that down, I guess, if you want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I was like fully expecting a Heartbreak Kid situation, Jay, where I was like gonna have to watch it and like
The Heartbreak Kid thing is just so sad.
super grainy.
I don't
but
know.
then-
I couldn't find anything on the rights, like why those are so convoluted for Heavenly Creatures.
maybe because of it's like the country sort of
I
thing.
don't
and
know.
like,
It's probably owned by
I bet you he fucking owns it and he won't
It's
release it because he's
it's
making
probably
Hobbit
No, it's
movies.
probably owned by J.C. Penney, and like
Yeah.
they're struggling.
Even though
They're going to
Jesse
be
Penny
like
recently.
selling off their assets, and like the person at the auction's like, then we have
Heavenly
the
creatures.
rights to Peter Jackson's Heavenly Creatures.
You see her one, oh man, I'll give you $1 for it. No, I don't know why it's not out there. It's a real shame. Because the last thing I want to do is spend $50 on a Blu-ray for it on eBay.
This
I,
seems like something that's ripe for like a Criterion re-release or like
this
an
one
It
really
totally
Arrow.
does feel
does.
like it.
Yeah.
Like this feels like this. It feels like that,
You
or
know, like early underseen film from, one of the most beloved directors of his generation. I mean,
they
it
could
feels
do like
perfect for that.
and then they could do like an interview with Jackson and the two actresses and get them back in the
Yeah.
room.
It's the
You know what I
starting
mean?
point for two great actresses. It's, a nation whose film for industry for a long time went underseen. It fits perfectly with like the Jane Campion stuff that they've done releases for.
Yeah.
He's like the king of New Zealand, right? Peter Jackson,
I think
straight up,
so. I think
right?
his
Wasn't
movie,
wasn't Lord of the Rings literally like on their currency at one point?
Yeah, I mean,
I
like
think
they still
so.
have all the sets. It's a tourist attraction at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
So Jesse, does your love of Lord of the Rings sustain? Are you still
Yeah,
like,
we can
Oh,
ask you
yeah.
this about this, Jesse. We're
Yeah.
not going to get
yeah.
Jay's thoughts on this. We're going to keep those close for the episodes that come in 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
I mean, Lord of the Rings is pretty big, right, buddy?
Is that
Lord
kind of
of-
your big franchise from your
Um,
childhood
Actually,
youth?
this is a better question, Jesse. Is the Lord of the Rings like what is Lord of the Rings to you? Is that like the Star Wars of our generation, essentially the greatest like trilogy of all time? Maybe
Because for
maybe
me growing
it's
up, it was Harry Potter, like straight up.
oh, Lord of the Rings was bigger than Harry Potter for me.
it still is for
Which
you,
is
Jay. The
weird.
politics and all.
Which is weird because I never read either the Lord of the Rings books or the Harry Potter books, but it is to the like, is this the most important franchise? It's like so hard for me to divorce it from Star Wars and like Indiana Jones, mainly Star Wars of like both things I was into around the same age, and like even though the Star Wars original trilogy and I guess the prequels were coming out when I was a kid, so that's what I was seeing in context, but you know that had equally as much of a you know lightning rod on
But
my imagination.
do you still have a little bit of a soft spot for the prequels? They're coming
They're
back around. People love the prequels
they're
now.
interesting. I mean, I would rather talk about those than like half the blockbusters I see these days.
Yeah, that's probably fair. I think they're pretty bad.
They're bad, but they're at least like
What the Star Wars prequels?
yeah, they're
I
at least
mean,
like interesting.
they're very
I think the
interesting.
most important. I mean, it's probably Harry Potter when I was younger, but I think as far as molding me as a moviegoer, I think it's probably Indiana Jones, the original Indiana Jones
I
trilogy.
Yeah, that
mean,
that that was big, and also seeing those around the same time as those other things I mentioned.
for me
Yeah.
as a kid, it was I watched the old Bond movies, and so then when seeing
You're
the
a big
Brosnan
Bond
ones
guy. Yeah.
Yeah,
were big for me. But I mean, watching the original Star Wars trilogy was huge, and I think that then spawned my curiosity. I mean, like yes, I was big into Harry Potter just as much as Jay, and I read all those books and everything. But there was something about Lord of the Rings. It connected everyone in my family more than Harry
hmm
Potter. And I mean, I'll share some stories when we
It
get to those
prevented you. It
episodes.
was the one thing that stopped you from pulling a Heavenly Creatures.
Sure. Um, but
all
like,
all that hate about the mom earlier was really just you projecting,
listen,
huh?
sometimes this show can be very therapeutic. All right. All right. So why don't you just guys, why don't you lay off, guys? But no, I mean, we'll talk about the more in depth in the coming weeks. But Jesse, I was just curious about your
No, yeah,
relationship with it.
it
It's pretty
was
big for all
it
of
was
us. You know?
huge. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was like I forget if I mentioned it on this episode if this was in the before thing, but when I had to part ways with my extended edition DVDs, it was like, wow, what fond memories since
Did you
having the
upgrade them?
I will eventually, I bought some I there's a big Criterion Flash sale recently.
I was gonna
so
say you sound like a man that just spent some money on a flash sale.
yeah.
Um,
I'll upgrade eventually. They're on Max, the extended edition,
yeah,
so
but
I'm
it's
not.
not the same. You can't
I
watch
know,
something
but
like that on a streamer. You know better than that.
I
Like
know.
you know
The
better than that.
compression on a streamer is like really, it's real.
I gotta tell you, so I
Yeah.
was watching
And
that.
anytime, even if it says 4K on the stream, it is
It's
not
rough. I was
true
watching
4K, my friends.
I was watching I was trying to watch that new uh Nathan Lane Matt Bomber show Mid-Century Modern on Hulu.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it either.
I know you guys will never see it. It's fine. But I turned on the first episode just, give it a shot. Eric and Tyler, our TV editor, told me just give it a shot.
Probably
think
good. I
you'll
like
it.
those guys.
Um,
Is it good?
yeah, it's like a gay guys, so, three gay guys, they live together in Palm Springs with one of their mom. It's basically like a Golden
So it's
Girls.
like three gay men and a baby.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like a Golden Girls sort of like rip off. Anyway, the compression on that show, it was so dark. And I'm like, and there's no way to like see it without, being on a streamer.
Well, that was the big complaint about what was the episode of Game of Thrones? The
It was
big
the big one.
Oh yeah, the
was it
Battle
the
of
battle
Winterfell.
Battle of the
one. Yeah,
Bastards?
yeah.
No, the
No,
Winterfell one where they're
Winterfell?
fighting.
Yeah.
They fight
Oh,
the
No,
zombies.
yeah. And then
Yeah.
the everybody running the show, they were like, "Yeah, you're watching it on streaming. Of course, it's going to look horrible."
That's
And it's
why
like, yeah,
I
but
had it-
that's how everybody is watching your show.
No,
and
but if
know
you
that.
watched
Yeah.
it, but Jay, if you watched it on HBO, like on cable, like I did,
I mean, I'm sure that's probably
I didn't
true,
have that
but-
problem. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't on the compression. And then when you
Probably
watch
true,
it on,
but I saw the last season of Game of Thrones, so I will never buy the box set.
no, there you go. Wait, you never
Well, no-
did, or you
No,
did?
I
watch
did
it?
see it, therefore I will never go back to it.
Oh, okay. Oh, because you didn't like it.
It's horrible.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, you don't have to yell at me. I was just asking questions there, buddy.
Sometimes it's about the destination, not the journey. But sometimes it's about the journey. I feel like it's about the journey with Lost, for example.
Yeah,
I'm
Journey
like,
is
what a ride.
yeah. That's why I think you'll love Severance if you give it a shot.
Oh, I need to watch Severance so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Jesse, do you watch Severance?
I do, and I think I like Severance while also I always have this nagging feeling like Severance is a little bit up its ass and a
Is
little
this
bit like-
bullshit?
yeah, yes.
That's the thing about. I thought that was the thing about Lost, though. For years, I was like,
That's actually
I
kind of
love-
the Ben
I-
Stiller thing.
I
too.
love this, but
Yeah.
am I a fucking idiot because the show seems like
it is impeccably well made while also I have this creeping feeling in the back of my head that it's gonna all kind of amount to nothing, and it's
Yeah.
a show that's like really hinging a lot on like unanswered questions.
But I'm loving the ride. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Jay,
Yeah, man.
before we get out of here,
Best picture, best
We're-
director,
we're gonna
best
test-
actress.
we're going to test your award season knowledge based on the film we just reviewed, Heavenly Creatures. In a segment we like to call It's an Honor to Get Nominated. Now, Jay, this is a big question, buddy. Was Heavenly Creatures nominated for any Academy Awards? You have also done this year on a retrospective episode. So you should know whether or not Heavenly Creatures
so
was
let
nominated
me-
for any
Let
Oscars
me ask
or
you a
not.
question
If
because I
you
was about
don't
to
know-
do it
Yeah.
in a voice.
Okay.
Do you have a New Zealand voice?
Oh,
Like, can you do a New Zealand accent? Because
Can I
the
do a New
danger
Zealand
is
accent?
it turning into an Australian accent.
That is the danger is that it can go into an Australian
But
accent.
for
really
me,
quick.
gotta-
the way
you
to
gotta put
do
like
it
a
is
little-
Flight of the Conchords. I mean,
Oh,
Yes.
so you got to
that's
do a little
my North Star,
a little bit of Brit-
New Zealand accent.
little
That
bit of
that
Brit-
was
yeah.
another big fascination with New Zealand for me. As
I don't, out of the respect of the audience, am not going to try it here. Just going to put it out there. I don't believe I
gonna
have
put
it in my
some wor-
arsenal.
I think I'm going to put some work into it and do it
Okay.
later, but I
Okay.
don't think I'm going to do it now.
You're going to do it like during Lovely Bones?
So instead, I'm going to say it as an Australian specifically.
Oh, so you're going to really just
and
get
I'm gonna
people
no, I'm
offended.
gonna say how proud I am as an Australian that this didn't get any Oscar nominations.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer. And I'm gonna say that bloody movie didn't get no Oscar nominations. What are you talking about, mate?
Well, Jay, you're wrong.
It got an Oscar nomination?
This was
good
nominated
for Peter.
for Best Adapted Screenplay.
Wow.
for Peter Jackson and Fran Walls.
You know what? Deserved.
I didn't even know that. That's
Did you not know that, Jesse?
I didn't know that. I'm happy for Peter.
So this was the
This is
year.
a cool movie to get an Oscar nomination, especially
Yeah.
back then.
So this was the year. Okay.
So we already covered this on the show that I was on, and I forgot.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was only like 3 months ago.
I'm sorry. This was nominated for original screenplay. Sorry, not adapted.
I was about to say, was this based on a book? Okay,
So-
original screenplay.
So original screenplay. We've talked about this year a couple times because this was the year where Heavenly Creatures was nominated for screenplay. Three Colors Red, which we covered in our Kieslowski series.
Mhm.
Four Weddings and a Funeral. Bullets Over Broadway. And the winner was a movie we literally talked about when we brought up the Daniels earlier in a weird roundabout way. Jay mentioned it. The winner was Quentin Tarantino for Pulp Fiction. So,
I mean, I think Jesse actually brought that up, but
or Jesse, I'm sorry, Jesse. I didn't mean to.
I'm the
mean,
one that's gonna get arrested for that.
deserved, deserved.
Oh, you think it was deserved? Oh, like it deserved to go to Tarantino.
Yeah. God,
Yeah.
I saw that. I saw that one in 35 recently. Come on, man.
What? Pulp Fiction?
Get out of here, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an all-time movie. Like every time,
it's so good.
I think sometimes with movies like that, we just were like, okay, everybody online goes, yeah, it's not that good, or it's not cool, or maybe it's cool to like this other one, and then you watch it and you're like,
It is an easy movie to make fun of, I will say.
it is, but then you watch it and you're like, man, this has got like 100 quotable lines and every scene works, and well, not every scene, but mostly every scene works, and you're like, God, this is like cinema. This is what cinema's all about.
You know what's crazy? I was thinking about this recently. Like anytime I get to see a movie projected on film, I'm like, whoa, this rules. This is so cool. It looks so much better. There's so much more kind of texture and depth to everything. They used to just show like Encino Man projected on film. That used to be how you just saw movies.
Yeah, every movie you saw in the theaters up to a certain point in your childhood, you were watching somebody put projected on film.
Yeah, people saw
Yeah.
Porky's projected on 35 millimeter.
Jay, we saw Shrek on frickin' film. Like, think about that. Like, even the movies that we talked.
What a time that was. They're making a new Shrek, aren't they?
Jesse, thoughts on the new Shrek?
I don't know that we have that much time.
Okay, that's fair.
You've really. I
Open
kind
Pandora's box here.
yeah.
The one
I
thing I
think
will say,
I don't-
the new design. I'm shocked that they kind of made it a much more, much kind of softer design of the
I
ogres.
don't get Shrek. Is kind of my
Oh.
take on Shrek.
All right. Hey,
My
now,
take is that the first Shrek looks like absolute garbage.
Part of what I don't get about Shrek.
Yeah.
I like the first
Toy
Shrek.
Story 1, I still think looks okay, and that came out like
Yeah.
7 years before.
I like the first Shrek. Love the second Shrek. I'm a big Shrek 2 guy.
I think Shrek 2 is the best one. Puss in Boots, obviously.
And then the
huge value
third one
add.
is when the decline started, and then the fourth one's an absolute fucking mess.
I don't think I
So,
even saw the fourth one.
Remember when everybody was like, Puss in Boots is a masterpiece about mental health?
what, the second one?
Yeah, that was a
No,
real.
Yeah,
We
The
need-
Last
we need-
Wish. Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
We need to.
That was
start-
some real baby brain stuff.
But it is a
That,
good movie.
that was
though.
just some real like y'all need to go see grown up movies.
But it's a,
Yeah.
but it is a good movie though. Like I like it, but I didn't remember hearing any of that stuff.
You don't remember that one scene where it was about like
Well, he has like a breakdown.
anxiety and
Well, yeah,
it's
he's
like
like
an
the-
anxiety attack, and everybody
it's
was
like the
this
fear
is
of
the
death,
most like realistic interpretation of
People were really saying that.
yeah,
Yes,
totally
yes.
100%.
Oh, the people can go fucking touch grass. Like what the fuck is going on there? Like
that's what I'm saying. It was like please just go watch
stupid.
grown up movies.
It's baby brain nonsense. Yeah.
that's some people. I gotta tell you, some people they go on the internet. They're a real bunch of dum dums.
I actually think we're in a bad spot, just like generally.
You think so?
Yeah, we're not doing great.
Well, I mean, we're doing great.
I mean, the government's doing great.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
we're not. We don't have time for that. We're not doing that bit today.
How about those tariffs, though?
Oh, for God's sakes! All right, Jesse.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. This
This
is
is-
always fun.
This is always the like I say to every guest, the dumbest show that's on the planet. But
Yeah, for sure. Jesse's got
Gives
like
me
a
joy.
good podcast.
yeah. Jesse, can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work and your good podcast? And then can you also give our listeners a recommendation of the week, something new, old, that you've been watching that you hope everybody that you'd want everybody to check out.
Sure. So you can check out the new podcast that I host. It is called Movie Joust. You can find us on all of your streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google. We also have a YouTube channel. So just getting the show started with myself and a couple of Atlanta film critics. And you guys want to guess?
Yeah, well, come on.
Look, I'm always down to guess.
All
I
right.
want I want to guess with Jay. I've never really guessed it with you on a show.
You want to guest with me?
Yeah.
That's a 5-man pod. That's
The problem with that is Jay
that's a
has
crowded
even
pod.
said this before. Like, we run a pretty tight ship. Like,
No.
because I got like
What are you talking about? We run a tight ship here.
I love the looseness of you guys' show, but
What are you talking about?
I have two co-hosts that often have hard outs because
no, they
they're
do. Yeah, your show runs like what, like 30 to 40 minutes?
30 to 40 minutes.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like getting into the damn review for us.
We could do, if you guys guessed, we could do a bonus episode that is like the other co-host left and Jesse stayed around with Ryan and Jay and just like talked about whatever random stuff we're screaming about.
Honestly,
so what's
I'm-
special about
I'm
this
ready
episode
for that.
is 2 of the hosts are going to lead after 25 minutes.
And then
And the episode is 2 hours long.
Honestly,
And
if you kept
and then
me, if
Jesse,
you give me
Ryan,
a,
and Jay will discuss their
Current
favorite.
events.
I was gonna say like early 2000s nostalgia. Like, what was your favorite like Limp Bizkit song?
oh,
Nookie.
guys, I did not to go on one last tangent before Jesse gives us. Actually, give us your recommendation of the week, Jesse.
Oh yeah. I'll keep it short. In my Criterion Flash sale mental health purchase, I picked up the Tree of Life extended cut, and it was great.
I thought you were gonna say that you picked up Puss in Boots. And I was like,
Come
good
on,
for
no.
you,
No.
but,
Do you have an opinion on the original versus theatrical versus the
I will
extended?
need to go back and re-watch the original, like very in a close proximity of time.
That's kind of what you have to do because it's just like more Tree of Life. We
Yeah.
talked about this in our Tree of Life episode, but it's just like more of that.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. It was just sort of like, all right, cool, a longer version of a movie I already really love, which is
Yeah, it's not really like they added this incredible detective plot that wasn't in
Right.
the original.
My God, Jesse Plemons. Weird.
Yeah.
All right. No, what I was going to say is that I had we were in me and my wife were in the car the other day and I had a great Would You Rather. And was it, would you rather listen to the entire discography of Nickelback or would you rather listen to the same amount of music, but it's the discography of Creed? And I realized that Nickelback has like 10 albums.
yeah, they're
and
still
Creed
cooking.
and Creed has like 4. So
Yeah.
you would have to listen to Creed 2.5 times in order to equal the amount of Nickelback. So that's a good question to ask you guys. What would you rather do?
I would listen to Creed because I think
yeah.
Creed has one song that I genuinely enjoy.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like
Last
Creed,
Breath. I like that song.
I feel like I'm gonna feel less like gross re-listening to Creed than like
Okay.
Nickelback.
Nickelback.
Also, I
Yeah.
love a Creed impression.
That's
Oh
true.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Head 'em down to a last breath.
Yeah.
And with it, let me say,
That a boy, Jay. Jesse, you got one? My
kinda.
sacrifice.
Have you seen
You know?
you've seen that video of Creed?
There it is. That sounded more like Aaron
seen that?
Neville doing Creed.
You've seen that video of Creed performing in the Cowboy Stadium at Thanksgiving, right?
Hell yeah.
It's
I
one of
saw
the
that
great-
live,
it's
man.
one of the
What are you
great
talking
videos.
about? As
Yeah.
a Cowboys fan, I've seen that. That's like there's Prince doing the Super Bowl halftime show and Creed doing the
Do you know that
Thanksgiving.
their recent tour like double sold out? There is Creed nostalgia in the air.
There is a lot of the like late millennial dads that I work with
yeah.
were like very pumped for Creed. And
Yeah.
they were like, look, we're not saying it's good, but like this will be like what an experience to like relive this.
I got to tell a story real quick.
I might be going to a Blink 182 concert.
Ooh,
Ooh.
I went and saw them a couple years ago. I think a very fun show for the exact same reasons I explained with those
Yeah,
older guys in Creed.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friends of mine were at a wedding one time, and they were just sitting there, and it came time to the mother son dance, and they were just sitting there. They were having a drink, and they were watching the mom and the son about to dance, and the music started playing, and it was "Arms Wide Open" by Creed that they sang to,
It's a heck of a thing.
and it was they said it was the craziest thing that they've ever seen, and people started singing to it. So anytime I hear that song, I just think about like, I just think about these randos just singing, dancing that to a wedding. And when I got married, my wife was like, "You can pick any song, just please, for the love of God, don't pick that." It's like, I'm not picking it, but I kind of want to now.
Ryan, did you have what was
pretty
your
sure I
first,
heard it in
first dance
church
song
one
at your
time.
wedding?
What was the first dance song that me and
At
my
your
wife?
wedding? Yeah.
My wife and I danced to a Wilco song, "You and I," because we love
Oh.
Wilco, and
Mine was
that's our
basically
favorite
just
band.
Can't Help Falling in Love with Elvis.
Oh, I thought yours was the "This Must Be the Place" from the Talking Heads.
Oh, I wish.
Yeah, that was the one that I thought of afterwards, and I was like, "Fuck, I should have done that." So, Jesse, if you get married, this must be the place. That's the correct answer to do that.
I'll keep you posted. I've
Kind of hard
I-
to dance to, though.
Yeah, I know, but like you can do whatever you want. You could probably find an acoustic version of that out there.
Who knows?
Who knows? Anyway, Jay,
Yeah.
where can we find you and all your work and
Letterboxd.
recommendation, buddy?
J Ledbetter, Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter, where I basically only retweet our podcast.
That's true.
Yeah, and then what else?
You should get more political.
I should get it.
Yeah, I think so.
you
I
should
think-
you should just start political tweeting on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, every movie's got to have a political twist. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
A Bug's Life is
Politics of every
anti-capitalist or
movie.
some bullshit
Or
like
just
that.
like two sections underneath. You have like my movie review and then like political hot take
Yeah.
of the day.
Here's why
Ju-
Emperor's New Groove is an anti-capitalist screed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here's why A Bug's Life is,
Well, that's actually a
anti-capitalist.
thing.
Yeah, I know, but like
Yeah,
that's like
but,
you know,
movie
it's
recommendation.
Why A Bug's Life speaks to what's going on with Doge. You know what I mean, or something.
Movie
like that.
recommendation: Black Bag rules. Like
So
it
good.
is so incredible seeing
Best movie of the
a
year.
movie made for grown-ups, and also just one of the truly most romantic movies of the year. What if a wife guy was a sociopathic spy? That's basically what that movie is about. If you're what if a wife guy was a sociopath to everyone but his wife? It
Yeah.
rules.
It's sex lies and surveillance cams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
It's all about espionage.
That's the
There's very
title,
little
baby.
action. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
it's also weirdly Jay a movie.
Fassbender
About,
is, I guess, incapable of showing emotion on screen anymore.
no, he's wonderful.
Which
This is
I'm
the
down
killer.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's also about process. And the
Oh,
process
so
of-
much
man,
process.
so much process,
And also
in this
about
movie.
like hating your significant other and loving your
Yeah.
significant other.
trust
And what makes you
issues.
a good spy?
Exactly. And I gotta say this, Pierce Brosnan, man, he's aging like a fine wine. Dude, looking great. Rick H. on Page, Tom Burke, killing it.
Tom Burke with the beard. Yep, looking good.
glad
all
he's
of them.
cooking
Great.
again.
By the way, you guys,
Blanchett, just like
She's
she's important. I mean, she is.
Jay, she's one of the greatest.
All-
She's the greatest
all time.
actress on the planet.
Yeah, and that's the only thing I like about her.
Um, did you guys like the lighting at dinner?
I
that
was
was a
actually
thing.
very
I can't-
into that. I found it incredibly intentional, which I almost like in and of itself.
Well, you know that became like a controversy online, right, Jay?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I was
yeah.
that's why I was like I almost like can't get into it because I thought like what it just another one of those like is media literacy dead sort
Yeah.
of things. where I
What the
was
fuck
just
are we
like,
talking about? Cool things can't happen in cool movies anymore without
Right.
It was
those
the
being a
same
bunch
thing
of
he
fucking
did. He did
idiots.
the same thing in Let Them All Talk.
Yeah, he did.
Another movie I love.
God, Soderbergh, love a soda pop.
I haven't seen the Ghost one.
Presents.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's
good.
interesting.
It's okay.
I would file it in the more like cool experiment, buddy.
Glad it exists.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Glad I
Sort of-
saw it. Not gonna watch again, kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Black Bag, I will put that on repeat.
Yeah.
That's
Black
a-
Bag Rules. 90 minutes. You kidding me?
Give me in and out, baby. Thank you, soda
Great.
pop.
I literally watched that movie. My in-laws were over for the weekend, and we went to brunch, and then everybody decided they wanted to take a nap. Maybe it was the mimosas. I don't know. And then
Maybe you got him drunk. Yeah.
everybody went to sleep, and I was like,
I'm going to Black Bag.
everybody's asleep. I'm going to go see a 90-minute movie. Like nobody will even notice. Sure enough, nobody noticed.
Wow.
And then I told him how good it was.
And then your wife was
So,
like,
When did you
whatever.
see Black Bag?
yeah. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd at Ryan McQuade 77. You can find all my work here at awardswatch.com. If you like podcasts, you can listen to the main show that's released every Monday. iTunes, Spotify, 5-star reviews. We greatly appreciate it. While you're on the website, please sign up for the newsletter. It's the best place to get all the news, reviews, interviews, and podcasts all in one place. Recommendation of the week. I think I've recommended this one before, if not on many other shows. But I'm gonna recommend Tombstone
Oh,
this
I think
week.
you've recommended that like 4 times.
But but I think I have to recommend
Still
it
haven't
this.
seen it.
Well,
Oh,
I
because
think
of Val. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Sadly, the late great Val
We are
Kilmer,
recording this the week or like a day, 2 days, a
couple,
day.
yeah.
My
Couple days
favorite
after?
role of his.
It's honestly one of the greatest performances ever. He is phenomenal in that movie. It's one of those where it is impossible to describe the movie star level that he is giving in that thing. Really fascinating behind the scenes movie too, Jay, that I think you would also love because like, it went like halfway to hell essentially behind the scenes, and like Kurt Russell is a rumor to have then taken over and directed the whole thing.
Yes, yeah, that's the
And there was the whole like Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp movie that had come out, but this is the better film. It's extremely entertaining. It's got a crazy amount of actors in it, but Kilmer is impeccable.
Kilmer
And
was in a Malik movie.
yes, he was. He was in Song to
He
Song.
was in a song.
But Jay,
For
I
15
know that you
seconds.
haven't seen this one. Please, for the love of God, Jay, find
Haven't
time to
seen it.
watch this. I think you would think this movie rules. Straight
You
up.
ready for my 2 favorite Kilmer performances?
Well, he's wonderful in Heat, by the way. There's this movie called
He's
Heat.
great in Heat.
I don't know if
That's
you
probably
guys-
my number 3.
Okay. I mean, no. What is it?
Kiss, Kiss, Bang, Bang?
might be,
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
I was gonna say Top Secret.
Oh, he's really good in
Oh,
Top
so
Secret.
good in
I've
Top Secret.
never actually seen Top Secret.
That movie is so good.
So funny.
And then my number 2, MacGruber.
Oh, well, Jay knows the way to my heart is a little bit of MacGruber because,
What's the name of his character in MacGruber?
oh, God. You can say it, Jay. I'll give you the
It's
honors.
Dieter von Kuntz.
It's Dieter von Kuntz.
It's good.
I love MacGruber.
I love that movie. You know was MacGruber directed? No, MacGruber was directed by Jorma McCone, who is one of the only Lonely Island guys. The new Naked Gun is directed by the other Lonely Island guy, who's not Andy Samberg.
Akiva Schaffer.
Yes, Akiva Schaffer. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, this looks terrible. But then I saw his name and I was like, maybe it'll be good.
Well, Akiva, I believe, directed Popstar.
I think he did Popstar.
Yeah.
I think you're right about that.
Did he also do Hot Rod?
I think Hot Rod was some other random guy.
I think he's involved in like a writer on it or something.
I think the
like
Lonely
that,
Island
though.
guys
Nope.
basically
Akiva directed
movie.
Hot Rod.
Oh, he did?
Oh.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. He also directed the Chip
He did
and
the
Dale
Chip
Rescue.
and Dale movie, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
That was a good movie. I like
That was good. Yeah. The one movie that he's done that's terrible is The Watch.
That's
Stiller-
the neighborhood watch movie with like Vince Vaughn and
Ben Stiller and Jonah
Well,
Hill.
talk
Yeah,
about a movie
yeah.
that doesn't exist.
It does not fucking exist.
I talk about it every day.
That's like in the $1.99 barrel. Anyway, Jay, please, for the love of God, watch Tombstone. Please.
I'll watch it. I'll watch
I'm begging
Tombstone.
Thank you. Jesse, you've seen it.
And I'll let you know what I think.
Yeah,
about it.
it's been
You
a
know
long
this.
time.
You know this
but
guy. He would love it, right?
He would. It's a very like
This is a dad movie
down
through
the
and
middle
through.
like dad action movie from the
You
mid-
love Kurt Russell.
You know what? That's
love
actually a good
Val.
question. I've now interacted with Jesse enough for him to like maybe
knows you.
kind of define my movie taste. Do you have like a broad description of
What?
Like what kind of
I
movies I
don't know your
like.
movie taste?
Well,
The
you
kind of
do.
movies you
Yeah.
like. I think of you as like you're a pure auteurist.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's
You're a
probably right.
snob.
you love people that like they're the movies are an expression of them,
You're
I
just
think
and
you're probably
you
right.
you love
a
personalities.
you love visual forward form moving
Yes, I'm very visual first.
forward. Yeah.
If you're not visual first, read a freaking book. You're a dork. So yeah,
Anyway,
I am very visual. Yeah,
yeah,
centric. That's the
for
one
sure.
thing that movies do that no other medium does.
There you go,
So
buddy.
why not take advantage of it?
Exactly. Well, except television. But anyway, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Director Watch. We will be back next week to talk about The Frighteners. And thank you all so much for listening. And we will see you all next time.